Let's do this. Get ready for the Dirt Life Show.
Yeah. Welcome to episode 45 of the Dirt Life Show. Thank you guys very much for joining us tonight. We are super stoked to have you guys, man. Tonight is going to be an awesome night because we get to talk all about racing, like a lot of racing, actually. So there was a bunch of racing that happened over the weekend. There was a Silver State 300, which we're going to focus on tonight. There was some Lucas Oil regional stuff out of Glen Helen, and there was also a side-by-side race it was massive up in Wisconsin. I think Johnny Greaves and his guys all put that bad boy on. I forgot exactly what it was called, but I got to watch some of it on Facebook Live. It was pretty badass, man. There's tons and tons of guys out there, so that was super cool. So we can't wait to talk racing with you guys tonight. We got a packed show, so we got to hurry up through all of our sponsors and everything. So thank you very much for everybody tuning in. We really, really appreciate it. We want all you guys to connect with us as much as possible, so comment in and hang out with us. Comment on Facebook, comment on YouTube. We're live every single Monday night at 6 p.m. So it's a pretty cool little deal. Well, actually, not every single Monday night, because sometimes we'll be live on Fridays if it's a live show that like we got coming up this month, actually.
Nice.
So right next to me, I got my co-host extraordinaire, Casey Peck.
What's happening, everybody?
And as usual, I'm Georgie Hamill. Want to thank, like I said, all of you guys for joining us. We really appreciate it. You can contact us anytime on social media at The Dirt Life Show on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all those bad boys. We've been getting a lot of people connecting with us lately. It's really, really cool. I think you guys are liking some of the content that we've been putting out. We're getting a lot of comments. A lot of people actually talking to you about their shock therapy, like all kinds of fun stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And so speaking of shock therapy, we want to thank all of our sponsors. So thank you very much to the guys over there at Shock Therapy. Justin's going to be calling in today and talk with us a little bit about his Silver State 300. But anytime you guys want, you guys can go save some money over there at their website, shocktherapist.com, and use the code DIRTLIFE and save a whole bunch of money. Thank you to the guys at KMC Wheels. Both Casey and I got KMC hats on today, so that's pretty cool.
Twinning.
Yeah. And so we're going to be giving away, actually, some KMC hats over the next month or so you guys stay tuned for that. That's going to be pretty fun. Thank you to the guys at Zollinger Racing Products. You can use the code DIRTLIFE over there as well on ZollingerRacingProducts.com and get a big old fat discount as well. They make so much cool stuff, man. It's just like aluminum bling all over the place. So kid in a candy store if you're one of us lucky off-roaders. So head over there and save some money on some parts. They did, I forgot, we can look at the results, but Travis and his team at Zollinger, they did pretty good in the UTV Unlimited class. They looked like they brought home a fourth. So it's pretty cool to see all these guys bringing actually not DNFing, at these big desert races and stuff. I know a lot of carnage and stuff happens at these things. So thank you guys. Thank the guys at Rugged Radios. You can use the code DIRTLIFE over there and save a whole bunch of money as well. Thank you to the guys at Solder Weld. You can also use we got this nice blanket here. You can use the code DIRTLIFE at solderweld.com and save a whole bunch of money on their products too. So like I said, today is all about racing, man. Like, I'm just pumped that everybody can get back to racing.
Yeah. I hope it stays that way.
Why you think it's not going to?
I don't know. I'm afraid. I don't know. I don't want to get into it, but I'm afraid Wave 2's coming.
Oh, yeah. I've heard a bunch of people say that same thing. This freaking epidemic or whatever you want to call it just sucks, man. The C-19 is taking people out.
It really is. And here we are just trying to have cool stickers.
Oh, yeah. We definitely got some cool stickers. What do you want to do with those bad boys? You want to give them to some people?
What we should do.
They got a bunch of new stickers here, man. They got circle ones.
I love these. These are good. These are good ones, too. They're not coming off. They're not coming off.
Yeah, these are like super good. So Will Maddox, the guy that helped Adam Drake sometimes, he printed these up for us. He operates a page on Instagram, too, called the Taco Slayers.
Nice. I love it.
He sent me some Taco Slayer stickers too.
Perfect.
So thanks, Will, for printing all those up. You want to give some away?
Yeah, I think we need to. Get the best comments.
The best comments for tonight's show, or just in general?
I think so.
For tonight's show?
For tonight's show.
All right, so you guys better comment in and
let's go, people.
Yeah, and win yourself some stickers. So
can you make us laugh?
Yeah, that's a good one. Make us laugh and see if you can like make it about racing too, since tonight's show is all about racing. So these are like little 2.5-inch stickers. I just showed them to you guys, but here's some more. They're little circle stickers, and then you got the Big Daddy ones. These are like 4 inches or something. These actually look cool on a computer or a truck or something. So
Nice.
all black and white, super potent. So yeah, comment in and win yourself some stickers. I'm just really excited, dude. Like. I mean, like Supercross was really cool to watch racing twice a week, right?
Yeah, I know. Imagine all that action that they packed in 7 weeks. Or excuse me,
3 weeks?
7 weeks worth of racing in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That was pretty sweet.
And I feel like the off-road industry kind of did the same thing, like because everybody came out of the woodwork to race this past weekend. So you had those 3 races that I talked about. There was a dirt series race in California, which a girl named Cadence Cowan, which is going to be on the show next week. She actually raced that dirt series race, and I think she won.
Nice.
So
that'll be cool to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. She's a young racer too, so it'll be pretty cool. But yeah, so we have a full racing show pack. Like I said, I don't want to keep rain farting today.
I want to get the insight for. I mean, we got a lot of people that maybe did something this weekend race wise that are gonna chime in, chat, whatever. I want to hear what their feel was getting back into the swing of things, because I know it feels different. I mean, even just for me, like for work, we had a few meetings out of the city meetings, and it was weird. Even though it was
because you've been confined for so long.
Right, it's like you do your thing, for a long time, and then all of a sudden it stops, and then everything's different, and then you start it up again, but you can't have it feel the same. You know what I mean? So I wonder if maybe in race mode you just kind of put that aside and you're just back to what you know.
Could be.
But I wonder, I want to hear what people have to say about it.
I think it'll be interesting. I think a lot of people were probably just amped up. You know what I mean?
Well, maybe when you get to put the helmet on, you get to forget about all the BS.
That's a good point.
So maybe there's that too.
So, yeah, so we're going to talk with Justin Smith from Shock Therapy, like I said. Dustin, the Battle Axe Jones from S3 Power Sports, he's going to call in. Kristen Matlock's going to call in. And our friend of the show, our own Brook Jensen, she's going to be calling in too. So we can't wait to talk to all of them. All of them have obviously different stories that they went through over the weekend. So it's going to be really cool. And we can't forget our featured guest tonight. A dear friend of mine, lives in North Carolina, NASCAR country boy.
Yeah, it is.
Don Smyle. So Don's going to be talking to us. He's the marketing manager or brand manager, marketing development, all that stuff for Smyle Media, which is his company. And the reason I don't really say his title properly or his company properly is because he's like literally a jack of all trades. Mm-hmm. Like he's been in the motorsports industry for so long, not to date him or anything, but so much of his energy has been focused on motorsports for so long that he just knows so many things. Like every time I have a conversation with him, I leave the conversation feeling smarter. You know, when you talk to somebody, you're like, wow, that guy was wise, or he has a lot of wisdom.
For sure.
So I really want to see what people have to we got Kristen Matlock. She wants some stickers too. We'll definitely give you some, Kristen.
I smiled, but I didn't laugh.
Oh,
you gotta make me laugh, Kristen.
Oh yeah. So tell us a funny joke. Well, she actually does have a really funny joke. She sent me a picture. I should show it to you. So yeah. So Don has just so much knowledge, man, and the things that he has forgotten is like more than we'll ever know kind of stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I do.
So this is what Kristen sent me earlier. It's pretty funny. Yeah.
Man,
so there's a funny story behind that. So we'll let her and Justin Smith talk about it. But yeah, so Don has done a lot. He's helped many companies, big companies, small companies. He has helped many race teams and individuals, and he wants to expand, like he was talking about doing, which he started working with some guys that are doing dirt track. He started working and helping me in 2000, I think it was 18, like end of 17, 2018. And he really had a big improvement in my program. And he just knows so much, like even if it's not something that has to do with marketing or social media or sponsorships or brand development, he knows enough and has been around the industry and high-level people to be able to just give you advice.
Right, and sometimes it's just the stuff that it's obvious, but it's not obvious to you.
Yeah, exactly.
And because they're so good in their
respected environment.
Absolutely. They've lived that. They've walked that walk and talked that talk and made it happen.
Yep.
Those kind of consultants, if you want to put it that way, they just like give you they finish off the recipe. Let me put it that way.
Do you know anybody like that?
I do actually. We had some.
Well, Adam is kind of like Adam Drake, who was on the show. He's similar to that.
Absolutely, in that side for sure. In my business side, excuse me, we had some training this last week with somebody that I've been friends with for a long time. That is exactly that type of person. Just knows the industry and can put those things together. It's so cool.
Yeah, that's perfect. Looks like we got Justin Smith calling in, so let's say hi to Justin real quick. Justin Smith, Shock Therapy. What's up, dude?
How are you guys doing?
We're doing awesome. How are you doing? You tired?
I'm doing really good, man. I had no idea you're going to jump me on. I'm not even prepared. I figured I was going to be waiting.
Yeah, we figured we had to kind of get the show going because we got our featured guest tonight is one of my buddies. His name's Don Smyle. He's done a lot of marketing and brand development and stuff for the NASCAR industry, and he helped with my program in 2018. And it's he lives in North Carolina, so it's going to be 9:55 when we get him on today.
Well, you guys got a stacked field tonight, especially with all the racers calling in. That's pretty badass.
Yeah, well,
we started with the best one.
Huh?
We started with the best one.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, so Justin, we had a couple people.
Am I first? Oh my God, you guys are awesome.
TQ.
You don't have time to listen to the show usually, but we had a couple cool stories. Casey, my co-host here, was telling me that a few of the guys, either at his work or friends, have been like really bragging about the shock therapy stuff that they had done to their 2-seaters and 4-seaters.
That's badass, man. I love hearing stories like that. It's pretty cool when we go to work and we hear those pretty much daily. It makes you feel really, really good.
Yeah, and we always make fun of him, but he was saying that one of his guys was saying that he was Robbie Gordon at the sand dunes. So
awesome.
Everybody should feel like they are. That's for sure.
Definitely.
Well, since I'm first, you know what that means? That means you get the worst race story in history out of the way.
No shit. Did that really happen?
Man, we had a bad day. I'm not going to make any excuses, but I'll tell you about it if you want to hear.
Yeah, so the Silver State 300 was over the weekend, and you guys race in the UTV Pro Turbo class, and you guys obviously drive that badass Can-Am MX-3 that you have. So what was the deal at the races, bud?
Hold on, before you get into that, you came home, you came to work on Monday, and you still were selling smiles, as I like to say, right? to Robbie Gordon of
I'll
the
tell you what,
Sanders.
man, it was hard to feel really, really good while I was cleaning up all the race equipment, trucks, and trailers, knowing that we had such a bad showing. but I'll take whatever I can get.
Oh, sounds good.
What was the deal, man? Was the weekend starting off good?
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, we've had so much time off. All we did was test the car like crazy. I will tell you this. We probably did like 6 clutch tests just because we had nothing better to do in the few weeks coming up to the race. And that's the one thing that we really thought we had on point. And so we get in line, it's hot and it's dusty, a little bit of wind, and they had, a good fire going, which made Best in Desert have to start the race in a different spot. Eventually they had to shorten the race because the fire was making its way towards the finish line of the race. They shortened it quite a bit to keep that from becoming a problem. But it was hot. It was windy. It was smoky. And the very first part of the race, at least the first 20 miles, is pretty much flat graded roads pinned. And so the one problem that we thought we weren't going to have, we tossed the belt in the first 2 miles.
Oh, shit.
Dang it.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're talking, a belt that we broke in for 20 miles, and we do that on all our stuff. We've never had a problem. And here we go. We just hopped in it and popped the belt instantly. And it took us 10 minutes to change it because all the pieces wound up behind the clutch. Had to pull the thing off to do it. And in that time, it couldn't have been worse because everybody in the whole race is 30 seconds apart. So we ended up pretty much last in class as soon as we got back on the road.
Oh, man. So you guys had to make up a ton of time then.
Yeah. Oh, man. And the dust was really bad. I can't even describe to you that. It was like a constant silt bed.
It looked gnarly in some of the pictures that we were looking at. Some of it looked like there was like waves of sand coming over the front of the cars.
Oh, for sure. And when you get a good wind, I'm happy about it because it usually blows the dust out. Well, that was a headwind for the first 10 miles.
Oh,
so
man.
all the dust from every car is blowing right in your face.
Sweet. When it rains, it pours.
Yeah. So how
100%.
far were you back, or how much time did you have to make up?
We started 18th. I think there was a little bit over 40 in the class.
Woo.
We came back in line right in front of Brandon Sims, and I think he about started last. Him and Carver were somewhere in the very, very back.
Man.
So we hopped in and kind of jumped on our pace. And incidentally, with the belt we threw on it, not one belt issue the whole race, nothing. So
Really?
we didn't have a clutch problem at all. We just had a belt that was pissed off, I guess.
Is there any way, because everything is getting blamed on C19 right now?
Can you blame it on COVID?
Or maybe it makes everything feel better, right? Because you can't really put your hand on it.
I definitely had a sick belt. It was definitely sick.
Okay, good. It makes me feel better already.
Gonna have to get your belts tested from now on.
Yeah.
Oh my God! If that's what it takes, then I'm going to stand in line and get the swab test on every belt I have.
Well,
Perfect.
we all know, like on a serious note, we all know that shit just happens at the races, man. So that definitely does suck. But how did you guys fare after that?
So good and then really bad. And just like you said, racing happens and there's not much you can do about it. I think with that belt, that was the case, but we definitely had one coming here shortly. So back in line in the dust, and we're going through the forest sections, which is about 30 miles of back and forth switchback stuff with trees surrounding you. And I'll tell you, I'm not the best guy in the trees. I have a phobia of trees. I've hit a lot, and they usually end your day. So
yeah.
I am completely backing off in the tree areas. And you know who doesn't? Brandon and Carver. So they caught me in the trees. We let them right by. But we tried to pace them because I figured it would be a good place to follow. And we got out of the forest areas and back into the high desert. And we were just kind of sitting right on behind Jake for the most part. And we come into pit 2 right behind them, which is about race mile 75. And then there's a road crossing at 80. And at race mile 82, we broke a front shock shaft in half.
Wow.
Dang.
And we did not hit anything. So it's hard for me to admit that. I mean, we're shock guys, right? So if anybody should have that together, I hope it would be us.
Well,
and we are pretty routine about those parts.
Yeah, but like I said before, you really never know what's going to happen. I mean, there's been times that we've broken stuff that we don't even know exists on the car. You know what I mean?
For sure. But, I see a ton of race teams shocks, and we do a lot of those guys' work, and we've just never seen a front shaft break like ours did ever. It is the first time we've seen it in hundreds and hundreds of sets that we do for the race teams. So the one way to look at it is, at least we know these shocks have been on the car for about a year and a half, so maybe they do time out. And so we need to make sure that our teams are getting new shafts every year.
There you go.
And so we've kind of put a bulletin out for them.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And let them all know.
Research and development, sometimes it takes having something like that happen.
Well, it's awesome that you're coming out. I mean, it ruined your weekend, right? Obviously, but you're coming out going, hey, everybody keep an eye out. We're going to make sure this doesn't happen. We're moving forward to figure out how that can't happen again.
Yeah, and the good thing about Justin is he has connections with all the manufacturers to be able to tell them what happened with the piece of equipment.
Yep, awesome.
So it's funny you say that, but because, yes, I mean, we're telling all the teams that I want to have a time limit of shafts for, once a year.
Right.
Or whatever, 2,500 race miles if they're running both series or whatever it is, because of what we learned. So, and that's why we race, just for that reason. But we've actually already sent that shaft back to Fox, and it's going through full metallurgy analysis and X-ray and all kinds of good stuff. So they can tell us if they've got a bad batch. And so you have to give Fox credit, because they're going to learn as well as to what happened, and they're going to make their parts better if it is a part failure. So
you know what else is awesome?
We just had Josh LaHaye of CryoHeat just said should have had it cryo heated. So I wonder if that would be good.
So timing's of the essence.
Josh, thank you so much for rubbing it right in the open wound.
All right, thanks, Josh.
But yeah, my point was here we are on Monday, and that thing's already on its way. So look at the urgency in the whole operation. That's pretty awesome.
Well, like I said, it's good that
Fox will have it tomorrow.
Oh, that's great.
It's good, like a silver lining, right? It's good that it happened to Justin,
right?
Because he has the resources to make something better out of the situation. Like if it happened to one of the other guys, it might have just been, okay, let's throw this shock out and we'll get a new one.
Right.
So
we
only got a couple more minutes.
Well, hopefully we learn from it.
Yeah, exactly. We only got
Let me finish really quick. I'll make it fast because there's some good stuff in there. So we're sitting on the side of the road of the course. We call back to the team, said we need a shock, and they had to get it down to the road crossing and right there at the pit, and they were going back and forth in the pit quite a bit to try and find somebody that would take it to us. And we didn't get any takers. Normally everybody's all over it, but I think everyone was really hot into the race, and they didn't know how far they had to carry the thing, honestly, and that's a lot to carry in your lap as a navigator. So, but then my guys went up to the Matlock's camp or pit, and they said that Kristen was coming in in limp mode, and so she was quite a ways behind, and that they'd take the shock to us after they fixed it. So she came in, they got her limp mode cured quick, and they took the shock in the passenger seat and took it out to us, but something happened when she was getting that shock dialed into the car. I think she pinched her finger between the shock and the center console and blew her fingernail up.
Oh,
dude.
And
ouch.
yeah, and my guys are like, hey, because it's bleeding out, all over the place.
Oh,
Let's
man.
get that fixed. And she's like, no, I'm out of here. Boom, she takes off. She doesn't care.
Dude, she's
What a
hardcore.
Hardcore, man. So cool. And then luckily it was only 2 miles from there, so they got the shock to us right away, and she was already chasing down somebody to pass them. We pulled it. They pretty much threw it out the window as quick as they could, and they took off. So, oh my God, thank you to the Matlocks. Thank you to Kristen and her navigator for being cool and doing that. They pretty much allowed us to finish because we had that shock back on the car in 5 minutes.
I can picture it bouncing around in a lap, like you said. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not not fun, that's for sure. So we had it back on the car and we took off, and now we knew we had nothing. I mean, we're just there to finish. So we decided to make it a test, and we ran the car as hard as I could possibly run that car, beating on it in areas I would never have done. And we got to the finish, finished close to last, about an hour and a half down. And we just took the car apart today and halfway through a prep, and we can't find anything else wrong with it.
Dude, that's
so
crazy.
We're super happy about the car.
Definitely.
I bet, man. That's really cool that you guys went through and pushed through all that adversity, though. And obviously, you're following up with everything that happened. Like, a lot of people don't do that, man. So kudos to you guys. Obviously, we think that you guys are great companies, but that just kind of goes to show what kind of people you guys have on the team, and obviously the supporters that you have around you, like the Matlocks. It's bitching, dude.
Oh yeah, it's a small family, or a huge family out there, that's for sure. Brandon Sims and his co-driver came over today to the shop to see how everything was, and kind of debrief from his race and talking about more parts for his car and sharing the thing on the shaft so that he's aware. And it's really good to be able to talk to people about what happened and thank them for what they're up to. And since we didn't have much for a race, we stopped and towed a bunch of guys out that had blown corners and kind of fallen off, and we kind of had a good time.
That's
honestly,
awesome, man.
There wasn't much for traffic, so we had all kinds of time to do it.
We got a few comments coming in saying like what a fantastic story this is, because it really tells a lot about you guys as a company and you guys as people. So everybody loves that. Well, we got Dustin calling in right now, man. So, dude, keep it.
Hey, give Dustin some shit for me. He deserves it.
Okay.
We were talking smack to each other about bumping bumpers and we were signing up for the beginning of the race. So thanks a lot, you guys, for letting me call in and tell Kristen thank you when you talk to her.
Dude, absolutely. Thanks, Justin. We'll talk to you soon, bud, and good job.
All right. See you guys.
Later.
Bye.
Take care.
So can you put it on the screen sharing real quick, Case? So that's pretty neat, though, that story came through. You know what I mean? Like, it's pretty cool to see that they took adversity and they turned it into something good. You know what I mean?
I do.
Like, I think that's pretty bitchin'.
Silver lining in more than one
and
aspect.
click the off of it, too. Now click Dustin's face. There you go. Hey, will you put your phone on landscape mode, Dustin?
Sure will, buddy.
Did you already get back to Louisiana?
Bro, we did it. We did a straight turn and burn, and so we crossed the finish line, put the car in the trailer, and started driving. Literally started driving right then. So we made it to Kingman right after the race, and then got up at 5 a.m. and drove home and got home at like 1 o'clock last night.
Holy shit,
Ouch.
dude! You guys did turn and burn.
Bro, and got straight up at 5:45 and went to work this morning.
Nice.
Oh man, dude, that's pretty hardcore. Did all the boys sleep in, or did they go to work too?
I let the guys sleep in. So Dustin, my co-driver, he came in, but the pit crew slept in. So they took it easy. But Man, it's a race life, dude. It's just so glamorous, It's all champagne bottles and podiums, and it's that hustle,
I knew Dustin was going to win all the stickers tonight and make me laugh.
Yeah,
that's all.
We're giving away free stickers tonight, so whoever makes the best comments and stuff.
If you make me laugh, you already win.
I'll take them all. I'll take them all. Let's get this thing going.
So so obviously that's cool that you guys made it home already. It's probably nice to just be chilling. You guys probably have a lot of work to do on the race cars and stuff, but give us a little rundown of how your weekend went, man. Was it good to just get back to racing?
Man, you know what's crazy is how drastically different it is as we go out west. So that literally was the first time that I've put on a mask ever. And so we've quarantined ourselves pretty well around here. We've stayed with just our group of friends that we've all been tested and made sure we were good. But when we went out there, like, we got stopped a couple of times going into like gas stations and stuff. And they're like, whoa, you can't come in here until you put a mask on. So that was a little different for us. But besides that, man, it was just a good time to be back racing. So you don't realize how much you miss it until you get back at it. So,
yeah, all the camaraderie and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, no doubt. I told everybody, man, that we were just fist bumping and elbow bumping with us. So y'all better get ready for Vegas Reno, bro. I'm going to be hugging everybody when I get out there for Vegas Reno, bro.
With the jean shorts?
Yeah. The jorts?
The jorts.
Yeah, the jorts. Yeah, I was rocking them out there, dude. They don't go away.
Hey, so give us a little rundown of the race. So we saw there was a shitload of UTVs, first of all. But so you got to bring it home in second, right? So Phil Blurton was the only one to beat you, and it looks like he only beat you by, less than a minute, right here, 58 seconds.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me of that. 58 seconds to be exact. So
that's great.
I appreciate you.
You got to remember though, Casey, this is a 4 hour and 15-minute race. It's 58 seconds. So you guys must have been hauling the mail, right?
Yeah, man, we started 11th, so we were a little bit farther back, which I feel like is a really good starting position. That means you don't have to set the pace. You figure out what the pace is from everybody else. So we left the line 11th, and like Justin said, man, it was, you drive straight into a dust storm. It was like driving into the dust storm from the movie, from the Mummy movie.
Oh, yeah.
Where you're just driving straight into it, dude, wide open. It was like Mad Max.
That's the same reference I always use, too, because that's a big old haboob sandstorm.
Totally.
Yes, dude, that's what it felt like. Like you're driving blind into it. We didn't make it 30 seconds into the course, and it was just blackout. So,
if anybody's running me into a haboob, it's got to be him.
Yeah.
If it's anybody,
dude, he's got
I'm
vision like
him.
nobody else's business. It's like X-ray through dust.
I know.
Bro, that's what we live for. We come from where you can't be off course in dust because you're tearing a corner off the car when you catch a pine tree.
Right.
Yep.
And so, if I can just spot sections of the course and feel the rut, bro, I'm rolling whenever it's dusty outside. That's where I try to make up all my time is in the dirt.
Well, it sounds like you needed, 2 more miles, and you could have made up that last 58 seconds. You must have been really hauling the mail, dude, because that's impressive. I heard a couple stories from some of my buddies saying, dude, Dustin was just on fire this weekend.
Man, we had a good run going, so I didn't know until we really started hitting the pits and breaking it down that we ended up, I think, around pit 3, taking over the lead. And everybody says this, like I was leading on corrected time, but then. And so I think around pit 3, we took over the lead on corrected time, and then whenever we knew we made quite a few positions up, and then whenever we passed Guthrie, he pulled off to change a tire. Like we knew we had moved into second physically, and we were still leading on corrected time. So those freaking water crossings out there at Silver State, bro, I start getting flashbacks of mud racing, and I can't help but hit them wide open.
Oh, I love it.
And so hit those things wide open, man, and shorted out the radios, so it drug the battery down. And so like 20 miles from finish, dude, we went into limp mode because of low voltage.
No.
And so the car would only do 50 miles an hour. And, man, we were just sitting there throttling it, just trying to make it move, man. And so the last 20 miles were painful just watching the wind go away.
Oh, man. That is –
bummer.
That does suck, but you got to remember, like – so he's obviously sitting in the car, and he's pissed that he didn't win, right? Of course. But all of the messages that I get, like just being this media guy now, right? Like this that kind of does a little bit of racing, right? They're like, dude, Dustin was killing it. He was like passing, like they're like, I want to be able to drive like him to be able to get the like up there. So you got to give yourself a little bit of credit, dude. And well, and the team too, because you guys were prepared.
Man, we had a good strategy going, man, and everything went smoothly The car ran flawlessly. We caught some good lines, man, and caught the wind just when we needed it. So we were able to make up positions really quickly. And so the toughest part right now, man, is we start falling in behind some of the slower buggies, and they hate that the UTVs are running pace with them, and they are the most difficult to get around. So we always do our due diligence, man. We give people 2 opportunities to let us go, and when they don't, man, we take the opportunity up on ourselves. So we had to tear the front bumper up a little bit on buggies. But I will say, man, this race, every single UTV that we caught did not hold us up at all. They let us go. It was the buggies that we really, really fought with.
But that's actually pretty cool, though. And the maturity level of a lot of these racers is growing big time because they're getting some more seat time.
Right.
But, I mean, you saw the amount of entries that were there. There was, like,
Stacked,
what, 50
huge.
total UTVs? Like, there was a ton of them.
Yeah. Man, what's nice is how quickly the sport is progressing. Best in the Desert is doing an awesome job. The racing track system that they implemented. You know, I totaled that car at Vegas to Reno like 3 years ago, and it was 18 miles into the race. And so, man, they realized like how dangerous it is, how fast we're going, that we need a method to let people know. And so, you know, they've adapted a little bit, and it's made it to where you can make moves, man, and you can come from, you know, like Sims, he came from way back to finish third on time, and so he had to be on the move too. So they made big moves recently to make that possible, man, to where it starts becoming a more competitive race for everybody, where people can make big pushes and still finish well, you know?
Yeah, it's cool. And even the times in like the non-normally aspirated class and the turbo class weren't that far off. I mean, they're 15, 20 minutes, but that's not that far in a 4-hour race.
Definitely not.
We got a couple comments coming in that Lance Robinson over at Solder Weld saying that you're a legend. I mean, it's actually like a lot of this stuff is like pretty relevant to like, especially to me, knowing how hard it is to drive that fast.
I love that I can picture the frustration coming up on the buggy, right? And all I can see in my mind is how I feel about a Prius on the freeway. I can just feel
It's that same thing, right? It's just something clicks in you, man. You can't help yourself. That's the dangerous part, man. That is the most dangerous part of our races right now, is that chance that you have to take that 30 seconds where you have to go for it or you're going to keep following this guy.
Right.
And so, man,
especially
those
if they
are the
just
most
flinch a little bit.
Dude, and you go tire to tire, your day's over, man. That's a front differential. That's a front axle. You go tire to tire with anybody, that's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so that's that dangerous time, man. That's the scariest time for me. I don't mind running the dust. I'll pin a car in the dust, man, and I'll run what the track is. But it's when I'm trying to get around somebody is when it's so dangerous, because that all of a sudden takes that opportunity of knowing what's going to happen and what they're going to react to. It takes that out of the equation, because he might get scared in the dust and jam on the brakes when you're trying to make a move on him, and you're done, man.
Yeah, risk level is like a full 10 at that point.
Totally.
Yeah. That's the one time that it gets real dangerous, and you could tear a car up quick.
Dude, we could talk for hours and hours, but I know you're tired, and we got to get Kristen Matlock on here. But dude, congratulations on coming through. I mean, there was a little bit of adversity, not much, but dude, you kicked ass, man. You got a lot of people looking out, saying good stuff. So keep kicking ass, man. We can't wait to see you at the next race.
Thank you, man.
Definitely.
I always appreciate the opportunity. You guys, always good to talk to you.
All right, bud. We'll
Good
take
to
it
see
easy.
Yeah, for sure. See you guys.
That's pretty cool, man. Like, it's so nuts, though. Like,
That guy always makes me smile.
it really does.
I think everybody. Like, and just if you could just look in his brain for just a half a second, I think you would just be happy.
Well, I think you like him too because he's a mechanical engineer.
Yeah, maybe so.
So that's another like an added bonus for you, right? So we got to wait a little bit for Kristen to call in here, but man, it's just so neat to have like the understanding of how stoked people were to be back at the races.
Totally.
You know, like look at all the stuff that Justin faced. So Dustin had a little bit easier of a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Justin's day was pretty gnarly.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
Losing all these parts, like, and especially like a shock and stuff like that. But he was so amped that he turned it all into being something good, right?
Totally. 100%.
And it's not just good for him and his team.
Right.
He's literally making it better for the whole side-by-side industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Like,
I mean, that's a win, really, if you think about it.
Dude, it's
major
huge.
success is going to come from that.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's pretty neat to see and understand all that stuff. So I'm proud of those guys and understanding both of the ways that they look at going to the races.
For sure.
And obviously they came back, you know, both of them came back to work right away.
Yeah, 5 o'clock in the morning. 4
Both,
hours of sleep.
yeah.
He was still pinned.
That's crazy.
He
Well,
was still full noodle.
yeah, exactly. I'm sure he's going to sleep good tonight, though, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully Kristen will call in here in just a second. We got Brook Jensen calling in pretty soon, too. Thank you guys very much. You got any good jokes?
Sorry, Rory. I actually had to put this one on hold for a minute, and I laughed inside. So Rory said, does your kickstand lean your bike more than you?
That is pretty funny, right?
Which is probably a perfect insult if you spun that around.
Yeah, exactly.
Your kickstand leans your bike more than you do.
Crap, our phone cut out real quick, so we'll call Kristen back right here. So that's a good one. Maybe we should give Rory some stickers then, send them over to him.
I think so.
So I want to see if we can show off this.
Forwarded to automatic voice message system.
So we can show off this picture of Kristen's finger, dude. So these new apps and stuff that we've tried to get for the phone system and stuff are, I don't want to say very good, but.
So stickers are coming your way, Rory. Thanks for the laugh.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message.
Well, let's see if Kristen can call us back here in just a second. So we got a picture of her finger. I don't know if you guys will be able to see this on camera, but this is what her finger looks like after getting the everything all smushed. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's an ouch. In my industry, that's you just tape it up with black tape.
Yeah, exactly.
Which she probably did something like that during the race. Probably found something to wrap around it and continue.
Well,
on.
I wouldn't say that Kristen is anything but like a really strong person because of the fact that she Iron Womaned the Baja 500 and 1000 and stuff. Hey, Kristen, how are you?
No doubt.
Good. How are you?
We're doing awesome. I think my fingers are probably doing a little bit better than yours. Huh?
Mine hurts just looking at it.
Yeah, mine's healing pretty fast, actually. It's feeling pretty good.
Right on. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. So we looked at a little bit of the results over the weekend. And first of all, I'd like to think that everybody had a good time because everybody is back to the races. But you guys had some adversity, huh?
Yeah, for sure. Well, first of all, on the way to the race, we had a transmission go out on one of our vehicles that was towing our home for the weekend that we were supposed to live in Alamo.
Oh, crap.
So that was our first challenge. We had to get a buddy from Vegas, one of our crew guys, to take it from Vegas to Alamo and back for us. And our truck and trailer still lives in Las Vegas while we're here in San Diego. We got to go back for that later.
Man.
Yeah, that was the first, here it goes. No. Everything was going way too smooth before then.
Yeah, it's like, and then it happens right when you're going to the races, too. It's like it just creates the initial stress level.
It, like, sets the tone, yeah. Darn it.
Yeah, exactly. We were going to do some clutch testing, and that happened, so. But then we're like, well, at least it's not a chase truck on race day or anything like that. But, it could have been worse, for sure.
So what was the next thing? You guys all made it safe, obviously.
What's that now?
You guys all made it safe to the races, though, obviously.
Yeah. Everything worked out great because we have an amazing crew, and one of the guys from Vegas stepped up, and he's like, "I'll take it to you, take it there and back for you." So
that's
he's
cool.
Great.
Well, we heard Justin tell us the story of you bringing him a shock, but it sounds when it's somebody getting a shock delivered to them, it's always easier than what happens with the person that's actually doing the delivery, right?
No good deed goes unpunished.
Yeah. Exactly. I know. I'm like, I was real hesitant because I'm like, a shock. I'm like, well, first, is it a front or a rear? No, because that's a big difference, So, yeah, he said it was a front. I'm like, okay, we can do this. So, yeah, I was loading it in there when they were working on my car because for whatever reason, the car ran flawless during testing, but like everyone else's story, right off the start there, I went into limp mode. And it ended up being a water temperature sensor, just a little cheap part. It just happens every now and then. So, but unfortunately, it slowed me down for the first 80 miles of the race. We went into limp mode about 8 times. So
Dang.
I'd fallen back all the way, to the very back of the NA class at least. And so we pulled over and we're switching that out. And I agreed to take that shock to him. And while I was loading it up and my co-driver was getting in the car at the same time, his knee bumped the shock that was in my hand against his grab bar that unfortunately now it's going to have some cushion on it. But yeah,
ouch.
it's just like a sawed off end. Yeah, and it just kind of filleted the tip of my finger there. So
Well, we know you're strong. We know you're a strong girl. You don't care about that finger, right?
yeah. There was blood everywhere, and I couldn't even look at it. I'm like, oh my gosh, is it still there? No.
Yeah.
So
I got 9 other ones. I'm good.
That's just more of a Instagram banger photos right there because you got blood all over the car.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it just makes the video that much better. But yeah, I actually drove with one hand for a while he was juggling that shock, and my co-driver was holding onto the tip of my finger, just wrapped in one of my towels.
Yeah,
and then he's like, well, let me just throw some duct tape on it or
There we
something.
go.
So he duct
Sweet.
taped it up, and
Love
then
it.
I was good to go.
Dirt life equals duct tape life.
Yep.
That's right. Yeah, it comes in handy in many, many ways, for sure.
Well, that's your finger is the story of the weekend, but there's some positives that came out of it because you went back in the pack a little bit, and we only got like a couple minutes to talk, but you went back in the pack like in being in limp mode, but you still came back to 6th place. I mean, you must have passed 15 or 20 cars towards the middle portion of the race, right?
Yeah, I was pretty much on rails after that because I was so excited just to get the car fixed, and I was like, you know what? I heard that the course was going to be shortened up, and I knew I only had a little bit of time to make up some positions, so I just went for it. I'm not going for the championship and best in the desert, so it was just give it my all and see what I can end up with in the end, and that's what I did. So yeah, we ended up in 2 wheels a bunch of times in those corners, and
Whoa.
I feel like I learned my car a lot better.
Nice.
That's cool.
I know it's limits for sure. Yeah, we saw the ground on both sides of our window nets a few times.
That's pretty rad, though, being able to push the car that much. And I remember you us texting earlier this week, and you were like, man, the car was on rails.
Yeah, the car is just working so well. The shocks are amazing right now. We've got some new shocks from Fox, and yeah, everything was great. Just that one little part, and that's all it takes sometimes. But yeah, we got back up there, and like I said in my Instagram post, as long as you finish with a smile, that's all that matters. And it just felt so good just to get back out there after having so much time off, and I can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, that's going to be super cool. Well, we can't wait to see you out there at the next one, too. It's nice to hear that you guys had such a good time at the races, though. I'm sure it was probably pretty cool to be back at the races, too, huh?
Yeah, for sure. It was just so nice to see everybody again, and everyone was as excited as we were, for sure. We were all lined up at the start line, waiting our turn, and we were just, talking and joking around, and just nice and calm and relaxed. I figured everyone would be super stressed out because, maybe we all forgot how to drive, but that wasn't the case.
Well,
we all did great, and yeah.
And we're glad that you were able to save your finger, so kudos to you and the team for saving that bad boy.
Yeah, it should be back to good health by the next race, for sure. Hopefully that's the Baja 500 for us.
Okay,
as
cool.
long as Mexico gets reopened, but otherwise we'll be at Vegas to Reno with all the rest of them, for sure.
No, we're stoked,
Awesome.
man. Well, we can't wait to catch up with you guys. We'll definitely send you some stickers. We got Brook Jensen
Thank
coming
you.
on, too. Did you see her at the races?
Yeah, I got to see her and talk to her and her family for a while.
Oh, right on.
It was great.
It's probably
Yeah,
neat to see
yeah.
everybody and just catch up, right? Get, like, the race juices going again.
For sure. Yeah, even though we were all melting out on that asphalt in
Oh,
Vegas,
dude.
that contingency, it was well worth it.
Well, thanks so much, sweetheart, for
Yeah.
calling in. We really appreciate it. We're glad that you and Wayne and all the family and team came home safe. It looked like a really, really fun time. So congratulations on
For
getting
sure.
through the adversity and kicking butt.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, always. We'll see you later.
Take care. Have a
Okay,
good week.
bye.
Bye.
You too.
So we got Brooke already on. Thank you very much, Brooke. Yeah, click on her face again, Case. There you go. One more. There you go. Hi,
There we
Brooke.
go.
How are you?
How's it going, Brooke?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
We're
good.
doing awesome. Thank you very much for sitting patiently. I got to admit, like, every time Brooke's on, her backdrops are so
Yeah,
perfectly framed.
She does a
like,
good job.
and that still has a little bit of Vegas to Reno dust and dirt on it. Or, I mean, Silver State dust and dirt on it, huh?
Yeah, we definitely had a rough race. It was really hard to take a DNF after doing so well, but we just have to move forward from this race and fix what's going on and then come back better than ever.
I don't know if you can, we're listening to the show earlier, but it sounds like a few of the other people that called in had some adversity too. So it's not.
Yeah, no, it does.
Go ahead.
It definitely sounded like everybody else had a pretty rough race. I mean, it's awesome to see so many people finish. I mean, depending on what problem each race team have. Maddie had a great finish, even though she finished one of the last people. She worked through her problems and got it to the finish. So that was awesome to see.
Yeah, for sure. And you and I were talking, what I wanted to tell Brooke, Casey, her and I were texting, and I said, come on the show. And she said, yeah, she would. But she was a little upset after the races. And she said, I'm not sure if I want to come on the show because I don't have anything good to say. And I asked her, I said, well, do you want to talk about the adversity you faced and stuff? And she said, well, let me think about it. And for someone as young as her to be able to say that, give it a day, go through her emotions and figure it out. Very, very few racers have the ability to do that. You remember how you always say, don't throw your helmet?
Yeah, exactly.
She never threw her helmet. She figured it out.
And she started the show with the smile.
Can you believe it?
You know what's so funny? This is the subtitle of the show tonight because we
Yeah.
were talking about it earlier. And now everybody said something about giving a smile. So we're good. We're going to roll with it.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate it. I saw a lot of maturity in those few text messages that she sent. And to hear her talking about the race the way it is, and still giving kudos to the other people, that says a lot about her as a person. So
no doubt.
Well, Brooke, I think first of all that it was bitchin' to see everybody back at the races. How awesome was it? Just even before you started, to just say hi to all your friends.
Yeah, no, it was awesome, especially sending out those good luck texts before the race weekends. It was great to see everybody. You can't be giving everybody knuckles and high fives and hugs and all the love that we want to give them. But it was still great to see everybody, and it brings back a lot of people getting excited about racing and getting ready for the race weekends. It was hard. We took quarantine to help my health, and we didn't really focus much on the car. We did get some things done, but definitely those 2 weeks before the race was nonstop, just getting the car ready.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people did that too. There was Kristen and Justin and a bunch of other people. They all did shock testing, belt and clutch testing and things like that. So I think, in my opinion, when a lot of these fast teams face adversity, yourself, whether it be Kristen had a temperature sensor, Justin had a belt. You can talk more about the things that happen with you, but I think a lot of that happens because people are starting to push the limits of what they can do with the cars, and they had all this quarantine time to figure those things out, and then all of a sudden go balls to the wall into this first race. So you hear a lot of those real quick adversity stories and then having to go back to what they were used to and slowing it back down again.
Yeah, it's almost like that take it to the next plateau,
the
next level.
Just think about it. It's happened before, but Dustin was 58 seconds off the lead. That's a close race for 4.5 hours.
Yeah, it is for sure.
So what happened with you? What happened with the car and stuff?
So the first week before the race, we went out testing with King, and that was a pretty big day for us. And when we went testing, we blew a passenger side rear axle, and I was so frustrated, and I drove all the way down the hill just to get it down to our axle company to get things figured out. And we noticed that the cars that were on it, the axles that were on it when we bought the car were two different sizes. Mm-hmm. So when we ordered our first set of axles, we went off what were on the car. So that was our bad. We were kind of in a rush, and so we had the wrong axles, and we didn't have enough time before the race to get axles made for us. And so we kind of just went off a size that we think would be okay. We tightened up the limit straps, and then we tightened up the radius rod arms just to see if we can get the axles from when it goes to full droop,
right,
from not coming out of the transmission.
Yeah, close so, them up a little bit.
Yeah, so Silver State is graded roads, and it has a lot of G-outs and big hills. So, the car was going to full droop. And we blew an axle, and that was super frustrating. So we kind of ran on it until we knew that we couldn't run on it anymore, trying to get it into a pit. So we changed one side of, we changed the driver's side axle, me and my co-driver, and then we noticed that the passenger side was blown as well. So we kept on going after we changed that one axle, and that was around, I want to say, mile 65 maybe, and 65 through mile 80. And then we noticed that we haven't really been able to diagnose the problem yet, but something happened in the motor to where it either was in limp mode or the manifold came out. And
wow.
So the car wouldn't go over 45 miles an hour. So through all those problems, we got it into pit 3, and we noticed that our race was just done from there. And, it's really hard to take a DNF after how much work me and my dad and my family put into our race program. So we loaded it up on the trailer, and I sent that text to you because I was just in the moment and I was upset and I didn't want to let anybody down. And then took the 2.5 hours back into Vegas to calm down and take a chill, and came back from there. And now we're just going to get everything ready for Vegas to Reno.
Dude, that's awesome. Well, so first of all, Casey will definitely agree with this. When you're that passionate, it's a lot harder to handle your emotions, right?
Yeah, it just comes out.
Yeah,
Yep.
it does.
Yeah.
But the good thing about it is like most dudes, like, will throw their helmet and be all pissed off. But you can,
or a wrench,
for whatever reason, your parents taught you good because you can control it, and you were like, okay, let me think about it. So that was really good of you to say. I was like, when I got that text message, I was like, holy cow, like, she's got more maturity on her than most adults do. Like, that's pretty bitchin'.
And it's hard because when I rolled into pit 3, the car was still moving. It wasn't like the car was completely broke to where we weren't even allowed to start the car and get it going. So it was so hard for me just to notice and be like, you know what, I can't go anymore, even though how bad I want to. So that was definitely really hard for me. I shedded a couple of tears, but I had my team there to cheer me up and load it on the trailer and just continue with our day.
The best thing about it is now she knows all the things that she's going to cure for the next race.
Yep. Always moving forward.
Yeah.
We get Bill Forrest, and is that Bill Forrest? Is that what it says?
Yeah, Bill Forrest.
He's here for you, Brooke.
Oh, how sweet.
So, well, I still think that you should be proud of your weekend because of the things that you learned and the things that you and your family had to go through. I think you should definitely give yourself a pat on the back for coming home with such a smile on your face, like Casey said.
Yeah, thank you. And I honestly do have a lot of people to thank. My uncle came down and helped us when he got the day off at the fire station and helped us get those axles ready. My co-driver helped me be ready for the race, and he did awesome. Nick Bailey. And then Kristen Matlock's team, their mechanic, and Jeff were super awesome and gave us a lot of advice.
Sweet.
Hats off to her team for doing that. And then all of our sponsors on top of that. I really can't thank them enough for getting us ready for the Silver State.
Oh, you've been doing a good job on social media too. We've been paying attention to what you're doing, so keep doing it and keep pushing forward. The Matlocks had a pretty interesting weekend in the pits, right?
Yeah,
they're helping everybody.
Yeah, they were. That's pretty cool.
They're so awesome. That team, her and her husband, and the team that's with them, they are the most kind, sweet people that are willing to help anybody. So we appreciate that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Well, thank you very much, Brooke. We would love to talk with you, just like all of our other 3 guests that called in. I wish that the show could be longer, man.
We need 12 hours.
Yeah, these shows that we've had these past couple times have been almost 4 hours long, and it still seems so short. It's crazy.
And we're not tired of it.
Right?
We just wish it could keep going.
So I want to do one actually out at the races one of these times so you can come and sit and hang out with us. It'd be pretty cool.
That'd be sweet.
That would be awesome.
Well, keep kicking butt, and I hope that you have your health all together and you came home with a whole bunch of energy because you have an awesome smile on your face. So I hope your body feels just as good as your smile.
Yeah, the body's recovering. Lyme disease likes to get in the way of racing, but I'm not going to let it beat me. And
yes,
I'm going to go to my doctor's appointments and just get myself healthy as I can to get out and train for Vegas to Reno.
All right. Well, we can't wait to see you there. So keep kicking butt, girl.
Yep, and Brooke, you're Remy.
All right, thank you guys.
Remy Jensen says her mom and dad are super proud of her. She drove amazing. We'll get her ready for Vegas to Reno.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Support system.
Dude,
love it.
I guarantee you she's going to be fired up.
I think she's keeping some of it in at the moment.
Yeah,
she's super fired up.
She's going to be like really fired up starting line. All right, Brooke. Well, thank you very much. You did awesome this weekend.
Thank you, guys.
Don't worry about the results.
Thanks,
worry about your mentality and how you're going to keep going and kicking butt, right?
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
All right. We'll talk to you later. Thank you so much for calling in and tell the family we said hello.
You too. Bye.
See ya. So,
crazy.
Like you said, though, you could definitely tell that she was a little bit emotional about it. But that passion just drives so much.
I know. Yep, that's what I always say. It's a blessing and a curse, because when it goes into other parts of your life, it's hard to control it sometimes.
That's true.
Now I want to be the best at whatever the trade you're in or whatever the job you have, and sometimes it's like, just chill. Well, take it out on the track,
Let's talk about another positive, though, because she was talking about how she let everybody else down. Mm-hmm. Clearly, she's upset about herself, right?
Right.
And, the other adults that we talked to today and the other racers, like, they understand that, right? She wants to make sure everybody else is still happy, too.
Right.
That's pretty freaking awesome.
It is. There's a lot going on there to be thinking like that.
So she sees the whole picture.
Totally.
All right. Well, we've got Don Smyle coming up. It's almost 10 o'clock over where he is. It's still freaking light out. We still got like a little. So North Carolina is getting pretty late. So we'll go to a commercial break, and we will be right back with Don Smyle. Can't wait. Zollinger Racing builds the best aftermarket products available. Products for your UTV or snowmobile, including billet radius rods, billet tie rods, billet steering knuckles, billet steering racks, alternator kits, and much more. All manufactured in the United States in-house at their headquarters in Nibley, Utah. Travis Zollinger and his team test in some of the most brutal conditions, racing in places like the Best in the Desert Mint 400, Ultra 4 King of the Hammers, UTV World Championships, and many more. Visit ZollingerRacingProducts.com and use the code DIRTLIFE to get 10% off your next purchase, and join us on social media at Zollinger Racing Products to see our products in action. Zollinger Racing, the best products, period.
Hello, I'm Justin, the founder of Shock Therapy. Shock Therapy has been around for 5 years, but we have personally been tuning suspension on off-road cars and race vehicles for over 25 years. We tune between 10 and 15 cars per day, every single day of the week. Our concentration is tuning shock systems and supplying components that improve the ride quality of your car in many ways. Not only do we work on the average UTV, but we also tune suspension for race teams and professional drivers. We currently tune for over 87 race teams in Best in the Desert and Score. Our clients and race teams rely on our suspension components to allow them to win races and keep them safe. Suspension is a moving target. We are always trying to hit that target with every customer that we work with. Each customer's needs can be different, and we tune our kits accordingly. Our research and development never stops. We improve our components every single day. As the industry evolves and improves, so do our parts and kits. As of right now, we have over 100 products for UTVs. So when you bring your car to us, you have the satisfaction of knowing that you have the most experience, the highest quality products, and the fact that your car is being tuned specifically to you.
Yeah, finally we got Lance from Solderweld in the studio. Thanks for coming down, bud. Hey, why don't we just record a commercial now?
Yeah, why not? So good to be here, man. It's been a lot. I've been trying to get down here forever, and I wanted to talk about the off-road kit.
Dude, I love those things. I got it in my pack.
Yeah, we're running hundreds of vehicles now running them, whether it's a UTV or some guy's got it in a backpack on his motocross. He's got everything he needs to make a fix right there on the fly, out on the trail, or in the desert, whatever it is.
Well, since I've already used one, I kind of know what to use it for, but explain what it does.
All right, so let's pull one out real quick. You've got your aluminum rods. Remember, they're rods, right? So, light torch, small torch. You can throw it in there or throw it on the rig with your flux. It decontaminates and cleans like let's say a radiator. You get a random rock chip runs through as you're racing. You get a rock chip in a radiator. You got to fix it right there, or you're out of the race.
You can patch it up
You can patch it up. It's all good to go.
Yep, just like welding.
Yeah. Also, as well with that, you've got a brake line fix. So with your flux, you can fix a brake line, stainless steel. And then your hot block, heat absorption putty. So it keeps you from getting burned, number one, as well as keeps the heat from traveling. So it's really nice.
I've used this not even to fix anything, so that stuff works so good, man.
Listen, it's easy. It straps in nicely so that you have everything you need in one little place, and you don't have to carry a big bag in the
It's like a first aid kit for your vehicle.
Yeah, chase trucks have it as well, so that if they need to make a fix on the fly, they can get it done and get it done quick and get you back in the race.
Dude, those things are so cool. All right, so it's at Solderweld on Instagram, Facebook, and solderweld.com.
Awesome.
All right, thanks, bud.
Appreciate it.
I'm good.
Yeah. We are back. Thank you guys very much for joining us tonight. Looks like we got a few people that want some stickers. That's pretty cool. So our featured guest tonight is a good friend of mine. His name is Don Smyle. He has a great long-standing reputation in motorsports. He's worked with some of the best racing teams. He's done television broadcasting and works with some of the most elite companies in the industry, man. He has helped build brands. He's built identities, racing programs, and also operates his historic archive of NASCAR-related photographs and stuff. Don is the founder of Smyle Media, motorsports marketing and brand development in North Carolina, and Don has personally helped me on our racing program, and most of all, he has helped me grow as a person. So we'd like to really thank Don for coming on and staying up late with us. So welcome Don Smyle to the Dirt Life Show. We really appreciate it, bud.
Yeah, guys, I appreciate it. It's a little dark here. I hear you still got the light going on out there. Good for you.
We have another hour of light left. Like
at least
we could have probably go for a mountain bike ride now.
Yeah, we could.
It's pretty crazy, but thank you very much for joining us, dude. Like, so tonight's show has been about two themes. So there's theme A, which is racing, and theme B, which is smiles.
And I didn't even put two and two together, and I'm usually pretty quick on that.
How did you not put that together?
How did
dude?
I not put that together? What the heck?
So, Casey's got the brain to be able to put this stuff together, so that's kind of funny that he didn't. But I don't know if you were able to listen to any of the show, but it's pretty neat to hear all these people getting so stoked to get back to racing. Before we get into your life story, what do you think about all this crap that's been going on in 2020 and people finally getting back to racing now?
Well, I mean, as somebody who makes their livelihood in racing, I haven't enjoyed it. No racing, no clients. But, the interesting thing is that I think that what's happening in motorsports now is you mentioned earlier the historic photo archive that I have. And so I have a pretty good understanding of the history of racing and specifically NASCAR, but racing in general. And one of the things that's really kind of resonated with me is once NASCAR, who was the first major sanctioning body to go back to racing, decided to do that in order to accommodate those schedules, because clearly, sponsors aren't going to pay to have cars sitting in a garage, right? They have to be on the racetrack. So NASCAR needed to find a way to accommodate that 36 race schedule. And the only way to do that was to start looking at racing multiple events over several weeks. And so in doing that, they were racing, 2-3 times a week, and racing midweek, showing up at the track, no practice, no qualifying, basically just, run what you brung, which I like to say that I'm a firm believer in the law of unintended consequences. And what it said to me was, it really was taking NASCAR back to its roots. You know, when in 1967, when Richard Petty won his historic, you know, when he won his 27 races that season, 10 in a row, he was racing sometimes 3 times a week. And that was their normal. It wasn't the new normal. It was their normal. And so what happened was now NASCAR has been forced to do that again. And so by the law of unintended consequences, they've really been forced to go back to the roots of the sport. And I believe, and I've said this many times, that that's going to result in some changes moving forward, positive changes. I think that what people, what NASCAR is going to find in general is that people like that they have already responded positively to that. They like midweek racing. They like multiple events. The competitors have voiced their enjoyment of that. And, you know, showing up, not qualifying, not racing, it saves a lot of money. You don't have to spend 3 to 4 nights on the road in hotels, food. You know, all of the monetary aspects of racing have been reduced. And so I think what you're going to find is that they're going to modify the schedule in the coming years because of this, because now they have data. They have data points from which to pull from to show that this will work. There's been a lot of talk for many years about the need to contract the schedule and to reduce the number of events, specifically so you don't compete with the number one sport in America, which is the NFL, come September. NASCAR has always gone head to head with that, and they've not come out on the good end of that. And so if you start the season in January or early February, like they do now, and you do midweek racing and you do multiple events, you're going to find yourself able to end the season by September and still compete in those same number of events. So the fans aren't going to lose out.
Or dodge their schedule a little bit.
Right. And so I think we're going to see some changes in the future as a result of this. And it's going to be really interesting. I'm excited to see what happens because I clearly like it. I think there's gaps in the schedule during the week where there are no live sports. And I think NASCAR has the ability to wedge themselves in there and really take advantage of that.
I definitely agree with that too, and I don't think it's just NASCAR too. You've gotten your feet wet with all the dirt stuff as well now, you know, with the circle track stuff, and when you helped our team do some of the Lucas Off-Road and some, you know, more amateur type events, and obviously the UTV World Championship. But I think a lot of those, genres of racing or series, as you call it, are going to take those same type of notions like in the future. I mean, Supercross did the same thing.
Perfect example.
Yeah, they had, you know, Sunday and Wednesday races, and honestly, it was fantastic.
It was awesome.
Cool. And the teams and stuff, as much as they didn't like not having the fans in the stands, they loved the operational portion of it.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that the team owners will see the benefit of it from a cost perspective. You know, there's been talk for many years about the rising cost of racing in general, but in my world, specifically in the NASCAR realm, you know, it has gotten utterly expensive. And a lot of that has to do with the logistics of moving the circus from town to town.
Right.
And by reducing that and not, you know, one of the things that I noted when I was on the NASCAR team was from a marketing and sponsorship perspective, what used to annoy me was the amount of time and money that we spent prepping the car from practice to qualifying, back to practice to race trim. And in order to accomplish that, we were doing that over a 3-day period. So you had a lot of time for people to be on the road, a lot of hotel expenses, a lot of food expenses, a lot of credentials, a lot of people coming in. There was just a lot of expense associated with that, and it seemed to me unnecessary. Now, a lot of that was driven by the television contracts and the need to have those events broadcast. So, I think the law of unintended consequences is going to generate some change that I think will be positive on many fronts. From a monetary standpoint, from a fan perspective, The tracks are going to have to adapt to that because clearly you're not going to have fans in the stands over those 3 days. And ultimately, when are we going to have a large number of fans back in the stands to begin with? So I think the new normal is actually going to benefit a lot of motorsports as a whole. So we'll see.
I definitely think that's true too. And I'm looking forward to it, honestly. Like if I had, my druthers and I was still racing, I'd want to stay in the same place for a little while so that you didn't have to travel as much. So
sure.
It would be pretty cool. Well, yeah, because we could talk about that all day. But, the reason that we started the Dirt Life show was to kind of get behind the scenes and understand the people that we're talking to. There's a lot of guys that see you walking the track, whether it be at a pavement race or a dirt race, and they, think of you as a wealth of knowledge, just like I was saying before, and certain things about motorsports development and marketing and obviously brand management and stuff, but they might not know who you are as a person. I got to experience a little bit of that stuff too, but let's take it back. Let's Tarantino it a little bit and figure out where you grew up and what made you get into motorsports.
Yeah, I was a Navy baby. My dad was in the service, and we moved around quite a bit. And so I found myself up and down the East Coast. I was actually born on a naval base in Virginia. Didn't stay there long. We moved, quite often, and found myself living in Key Largo for many years. It's interesting when we would go to Daytona for the races. There's a period of 4 days between the initial qualifying and the qualifying races on Thursday, and most of the team members would fly back to Charlotte and then come back on Thursday. I would get a rental car and drive to Key Largo because that's where I grew up.
Oh, cool.
And I would go back and hang out down there. But I moved around quite a bit. Ultimately, we landed in North Carolina, and it's been my home for 30 plus years now. I actually, when I got out of high school, I kind of didn't really know what I wanted to do. I ended up going to work for Marriott Corporation and working for that company for several years. But I always had this passion in the back of my mind that I somehow wanted to get involved in broadcasting. And initially, I wanted to be on the radio. I had grown up listening to the radio, and I just was always in love with listening to the DJ. Not just the music, but just that whole vibe. I never wanted to be Casey, but there were some local guys that were interesting. The funny thing was I got to know a lot of them impersonally because I would, back in the day, they had radio contests that were local, and I had the fastest fingers, in Charlotte, and man, I won every week, right? And back then it was the rotary phone. I'm going to give my age away, but I won all the time, and we'd go to the radio station to pick this stuff up, and you'd meet the DJs, and I got to know these guys, and I got fascinated with just being in the control room and that whole environment. I thought that would be really cool. I'd like to do that. It was something in the back of my mind, and life takes you another direction. So I ended up going to work for Marriott. But it always was in the back of my mind. So I got married, and my company came to me and said, "Hey, if you don't transfer to this new city, you're going to lose your job." And I was like, "Hey, I've already done that twice. I'm just really not interested in doing that again." And so the opportunity presented itself to think about going back and getting involved in broadcasting, which I did. I went back to broadcasting school and went in and thinking I was going to do the radio. And part of that experience was learning about television. And I'll tell you, the first time I stepped foot in a television studio and experienced that, I thought, that's what I'm going to do. That's what I want to do.
That is
and so cool. I ended up getting involved. Yeah, I ended up getting involved in the television side of things. And I was fortunate to be able to marry my passion for motorsports because I did attend some races. I wasn't nearly as involved or as passionate about it as I am now, but I enjoyed it. And I thought, how cool would it be to marry those two things together, to work in broadcasting, but to work in racing too. And at that time, I was fortunate. So I go from working in a corporate environment as an executive to going back to a broadcasting company as an intern, $0. And luckily, I had a very forgiving wife and an understanding wife who understood what I was trying to accomplish, and she allowed me to do that. But I rose quickly through the ranks as a television producer, working at a time for a company called World Sports, which at the time, and this was in the mid-'90s, was the largest producer of motorsports television in the United States.
Cool.
This is pre-Fox and NBC. There were multiple entities. So you had TNN, you had ABC, you had Turner, you had NBC, TNN. You had multiple networks all covering racing, but they didn't have their own production company. So they hired us to facilitate that. We would produce the content and then produce the races for the network. And so I got to work on a lot of television features and things that we did. And through that experience, started to really immerse myself in motorsports and meet all of the players involved. And that was something that is just a lasting memory for me. It was such a great time. And that's kind of how this whole ride started for me. And that was 25 years ago now.
Do you find any similarities to our current situation, Keith?
Absolutely.
Like, so we're kind of marrying the whole off-road dirt life with this new little podcast that we started, and understanding how it all works and different things like that.
I know, and I was thinking about what
I just want
yeah, go for it.
I was just going to say, George, the thing that really I think is really cool to me about what you're doing now is, you and I worked together, and we were always talking about how it was that we could use your platform to reach more people. And, for the longest time, we talked about the racing aspect of it. And now that you've gotten out of the car and you find yourself doing what you're doing now, I think you found that ability to impact people in a way that maybe we didn't see at the time. I think now is where that is happening. And I'm really excited about that. When you're in the car, you have the helmet on, people can't see you. People don't know you. They don't know your personality. They don't understand your story. This outlet has given you the ability to reach out and share that with so many people, the passion that you share for motorsports, the unique story that you share as a person, the inspiration that you are.
Thanks,
and I think that this, back to the law of unintended consequences, getting out of the car, but still having a passion for what you do and wanting to find a different and unique way to do that has led you to this. And I think that it actually is a fantastic thing.
Couldn't agree more.
Thank you very much. Casey has told me that a couple of times. And I know that it's sometimes difficult since it's so late in North Carolina for you to listen to some of these shows and stuff. But I've already mentioned it probably 10 times that the reason that this podcast started was clearly we're passionate about it, but it's because you planted the seed in 2017. And I had no idea that anything would happen. And then obviously unintended consequence, like you've mentioned, my unintended consequence was I had to find something else to be able to do when I couldn't see or hear. So there's a lot of this technology. I mean, people can't see what's in front of us, but there's broadcasting software and big tools and all kinds of crazy stuff. I would have never thought about any of this stuff had you not planted that seed back when we were talking about it. So that's one of the things that I wanted to bring up tonight is like the conversations that we can have with people. And obviously you're very a wealth of knowledge as far as we're concerned. You have a lot of stuff that you've done over your career. You have a lot of stuff that you can see and foresee in the future for your athletes, for companies that you work with, for brands that you work with. And how often do you see that stuff come to fruition, like what has happened in our case? Because you have touched so many people.
It's interesting. You don't really think about it at the time. It's always a hindsight thing, much like with you. I think the thing that's really, unique for me is I have a pretty good I have a really 360 degree of motorsports because I've worked in the media side of things. I've worked in the activation side. I've worked on the sponsorship side. I've worked on the marketing side. I've worked on the licensing side. I've touched so many areas of the sport that it allows me to have a really unique perspective when I talk to people. It's not one dimensional. And so often when I'm having conversations with clients or brands, obviously their desires or what they're trying to achieve or the things that they're thinking about doing drive those conversations. But often it's because of those experiences that I've had that I can really start to connect the dots for individuals in ways that maybe they're not thinking about.
I think that's a really good way to put it. Like, connecting those dots is really hard for a lot of people to do, especially, we'll just talk about, like, since it's racing. How many times have you heard people come up to you, Casey, and say, like, how do I do this? How do I do that? When the answer is right there in front of them, right? But they don't know how to connect those dots. And like, having somebody like Don to be able to hold your hand and connect those dots is very, very valuable.
Absolutely. And it's second nature to someone like him.
Yeah, and like he said, though, because he's seen everything. He knows about it. So, like, it's like kind of like talking to our other guest, Adam Drake, in the RC car industry. Like, he knows all of it, right? So if people ask him for advice, he's already got an answer, right?
Yeah.
That brings up a good point real quick, Don, that we would like to see is if we can get a little bit of audience interaction. So we're going to be giving away a bunch of stickers tonight. Casey said to make you smile, but I think we should do something else as well. And ask some questions to Don. If you guys wanted to ask him on YouTube or ask him on Facebook and see what kind of stuff you guys can learn tonight. I don't know if he's going to give you all of his secrets, but maybe he'll give you a couple. And we'll send you some stickers too. So that really brings up a good point, though. We've been talking about racing all night. What do you think with this different landscape, end of 2019, now we're middle way through 2020, to be able to understand where it's going? Because it's not going to change for a while, right? There's going to be little changes, and then there's going to be, like, it's not going to be like, oh, let's go back to normal.
No.
So
Agreed.
So what do you think is next?
I like to think that we will get back to normal, but it's not going to be what we perceive as normal,
right?
Or what we're accustomed to. The biggest thing that I see in working with clients and with racers and athletes now is I like to say that most athletes are really focused on going fast, and they're not really paying attention to what's going on around them.
Right.
As racers, everybody is looking for opportunity, whether it's sponsorship, whether it's a team, whatever it may be. Ultimately, dollars drive the sport for everybody, and so everybody tends to fish in the same pond. And so my job is to really give people a different perspective. The thing I think is happening now is we're seeing where the traditional marketing platforms for motorsports racers is changed. If you were to go down the list of things that most racers, whether you're on the dirt circuit, you're racing NASCAR, you're doing IMSA, NHRA, it doesn't matter. And I've worked in all of those arenas. The list of things that you can offer to potential clients, there's probably 6 or 8 of them that are unique to every one of those platforms. And a lot of them involve fans, a lot of them involve sponsor engagement and things that you do to activate against that platform. And so those things are not available. They're not available anymore. And so if you aren't thinking now about how to change the way that you're having conversations with not only potential new partners, but existing partners to still provide ROI against your program, you're already behind because others are. And you have to start thinking differently about the way that you're going to present opportunity to the partners that you have and the partners that you're wanting to bring on board, because those specific things I mentioned earlier aren't available anymore. How are you going to fill that gap?
Yeah,
how are you still going to provide opportunity for return? And if you are thinking about it, the opportunities are there. I see those opportunities.
Well, they're there even more.
So the conversation,
they're there even more now because you have an advantage if you can think that far ahead, because you're not in the same basket or bucket as everybody else. You're outside of that, like pushing forward.
Right.
So one of the things that Don's helped with is, again, advice and different things like that with us in the Dirt Life show. And we talked about, obviously, he's been a help on the podcast and given me some advice and stuff. Don and I have been friends for a long time now, so it's really cool to have a resource like him. But he suggested producing more content and start thinking outside the box a little bit. So we were thinking, well, and this is just an example so that you don't have to give away your secrets, Don. I can give away some of ours. But we we ended up thinking,
I'll send you a bill.
Yep, exactly. So we ended up thinking, well, why don't we as the Dirt Life produce more content? Not that we're going to put ourselves at risk, but we're going to put ourselves out there a little bit more. We're going to go to do remote shows, and we're going to be in the public a little bit more.
Mix
and we're going to give the opportunity to, like you said, mix it up a little bit and engage a little bit more. And I think that just that little bit of advice has put us a little bit ahead. I would like to think it has, at least.
Well, you're a big fan of saying teamwork makes the dream work, and that was one of the. I have to say that you are the most unique and interesting and inspirational person I've ever had the chance to meet and work with, and
thanks.
That still resonates. That still resonates with me today. And if people don't know your history and your story, that's fine. They just need to know you as a person, because that's the greatest asset that you have. But in thinking about content and all of those elements that you're talking about, again, what I see over and over again when I talk to potential partners or people that are seeking advice or wanting me to work with them, is everybody tends to think the same way. And if you just become one of thousands of individuals that are doing the same thing. And so if you're not able to understand how you can step out of that and come up with a unique perspective, to your point, creating more content, not less.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
Why does that work? Well, think about it and understand the opportunities that presents, not the limitations. And I think the same thing applies on the sponsorship side. You are just one of thousands of people contacting the same individuals, saying the same thing, sending them saying the same information. And I'd like to say, and I've said this for many years, and you know it to be true too, if you are looking at a marketing platform or program for a potential partner, the vanity side are the decals on the race car. But from a marketing perspective, in my perspective, if you have a list of 10 things, the decals on the car is the last thing I'm worried about.
Right.
Because everybody's going to do that. The other 9 things are what make up the uniqueness of that program, and ultimately are going to drive the return for your potential partner. So those are the things you need to focus on. And the reason that's important is because, and I'll use NASCAR, we have 40 cars on the racetrack. We have one winner. Same applies to every sport. Those other 39 individuals still have to show return against that investment for their partner. If they're not running up front and they're not winning races, they're not getting television time, not getting that exposure that generates that ROI on a larger basis for those larger teams. So what are you going to do to still create that opportunity? And it's not about decals on a race car because they're not being seen. So you have to think about those other 9 things.
I guess that's the same like in if you're just sitting in your office and you're a project manager, you're doing the same thing as all the other project managers. So what sets you apart, right?
Yeah, and we just spent a week with a guy named Sean Sampson, who is an expert in his field, just like you are, and training on how to get outside this, or we were living in this window. So get outside of what everybody else is doing and figure out what it is that sets yourself aside. And sometimes for guys like these guys, it's so easy.
They just don't think about it?
Yeah, so when we get that from this feedback from a guy like you and Sean, it's like, wow, how did we miss that? And how is the whole industry missing it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like a light
bulb.
switch.
Oh,
yeah.
Sometimes it's the, I mean, yeah, kudos to you for making it happen.
Well, the thing that's crazy
but sometimes it's so easy for him that like it makes it like, oh, I can do that because he showed me how I can do it that easily. You know what I'm saying?
Sometimes he has to pull a couple more strings though because he has to actually help the whole thing.
Oh, no doubt about it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
So
absolutely.
Let's kind of let's talk about the next step then. So you see these things, right? And you see you understand the forward thinking portion of where the industry's headed, where the strategies are headed. What's the execution?
That's the hard part. Sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, and again, you don't have to give away secrets, but there's a lot that goes behind that, I feel like, because I've always had a hard time with it, right? Like being the racer guy, I just go out there and I'll kick ass, right? If I win, I'll get some help. But no, that's not the way it works.
How it works.
Yeah, and I'll tell you the thing that I think most racers miss, and I've been a fan of saying for many years, that marketing is not sales, it's strategic storytelling. The reason that brands, fans, the reason they attach themselves to somebody is because they like you. They like your story. They like things about you, your uniqueness, the things that you stand for. And so the thing that I really work hard with my clients is to identify the you. What makes you unique, different from the other thousands of individuals sitting behind the wheel of a race car? You are a unique individual, and each of you have a story. And we need to understand what that is, and then we need to craft opportunity around that story, whether that be from a sponsorship perspective, a brand ambassador perspective, a products perspective.
Social media.
There are touch points or social media, connecting the dots between your story and those elements. And that's where I think it's difficult for a lot of individuals and racers in particular, because it's the forest for the trees. You're standing in it. You can't see that.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you need a third party to come in and go, here's what I see. Have you thought about? And I think that's the greatest advantage that I bring and others in my position bring, is that we're able to give you a different perspective because you're standing in the forest. You can't see it.
100%.
And often
that's literally
that really creates opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's every single racer. Every single racer is the one that's standing in the trees.
Absolutely.
So it really does help to have that other perspective. And like you said, though, there's many people that can help. You were just the one that helped me. So it's very meaningful to be able to talk to you. So, like, what about when it comes to working with an organization or somebody that already has an identity and it has a team of people that work on these things? They have project managers, they have marketing individuals, they have sales teams. When you work with a big company, like even the NASCAR teams, they have all the resources, right? But when you have to be looking on the outside and coming in to help them in their trees or their forest, how does it work in a situation like that?
Well, ultimately, it's about education. You know, marketing, I said earlier, is not sales, it's strategic storytelling. But the biggest part of any opportunity with, whether it be a racer or a corporation or a brand, is you have to educate them. You have to help them understand what they don't know and the reason why they need to be thinking about specific things. That's what makes you valuable. Yeah. And so if you think about it from the perspective of buying a car, right? Nobody wants to be sold a car. Basically, you're going to do some research and you're going to figure it out, kind of what you want to pay, maybe the options that you want. The job of the individual that's selling the car is not to sell you the car. It's to educate you on the differences between that car and this car.
Agreed.
And how those differences apply to you. And so for me, you know, my job is really to give that perspective and to educate them on what they don't know. And ultimately allow them then to make a decision based on fact, not conjecture, not thought. I think, I might. Here are the things that you need to understand, because dollars are involved. The two things that you never have enough of in racing, time and money. And the quicker that you can get to the solution, the less money you're going to spend. And so that's the part that I think I bring to the table.
That's a really good way to put it, too.
It totally is. And to back up just for a minute, it's not easy. So I don't mean it that way. What I mean is a guy like him, what he does, he can make it easy for you, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Well, yeah, because he's outside
like
the trees.
you said, you're stuck in your microcosm, as it were, and this is everything, right? And he's like, man, I already have the successful recipe. You're just missing this piece or whatever it is. That's what's so, like, that's what I love about that, is that it's confidence inspiring, right? So, like, you can go, hey, this is what is missing. Let me help you.
You know what I just kind of noticed that we can kind of connect the dots here too, I think, is well, first of all, I know Don doesn't think of himself this way, but make this go down this road with me real quick. So all the Supercross racers, all these NASCAR racers, and all these guys, right? So they're racers, they're badass, they can go fast, they can scrub jumps, they can hit 200 miles an hour, right? But some of them need a little tiny bit of help being mentally stronger.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah,
and they don't see it.
Right.
They need a little bit of an edge, right?
Right.
If you have cheerleader's a bad word, but if you have a cheerleader on your team, somebody that's motivating you, somebody that's coaching you through the process and giving you the guidelines to see what you don't see on a weekly, daily, monthly basis, how much better do you think you'd be?
Absolutely. And being able to put the trust in somebody that you know is going to do the homework to help you be ready for that, whatever that is. You might not have the answer today, but he's going to do everything he can to get you that next. Just turning that little switch off to know I get to go do my best thing that I can do, knowing that this guy's got my back. It's huge.
Take it out of the racing perspective and putting it in just a real world perspective. Project managers, marketing, sales teams. If they just had a coach, like let's just say they're getting paid $50,000 a year, average salary. If they took $10,000 a year and paid that guy, they would get a $100,000 position the next year.
And this is why I'm making this parallel, because I literally lived this world a week ago with someone who's great at doing, in a different business.
In a corporate environment?
Yes, in a different application. Exactly these things. It's awesome to me. I'm excited to to hear the parallels.
Well, it's interesting. I think a lot of times, if you think about it from a recipe perspective, a lot of times racers have the ingredients, they just don't mix them correctly.
That's a good way
and
to
so, so a lot. And I'll use an example. I was working with a young man last year, Jason Alder, who was racing the Legends Series, and he had been racing since he was 6 years old, and won multiple championships, and was now racing in the Legends Series, looking to move up. And he was the total package from a marketing and driver development perspective. What he needed was just somebody to help him mold all those things together. He had the personality. He had the good looks. He was a great driver. He was great on camera. He had all of these elements. And so really my job wasn't to invent him. It was to take what was already there and put the ingredients together
I love it.
in a way that made him an extremely marketable, personable, appealing individual to not only the media, to potential partners, to potential team owners, all of those elements. I would have conversations with him. The thing that's interesting about racers sometimes too is they're sometimes distracted. They get distracted by the things that they don't really need to be focusing on. And so one of the things I like to tell my clients is think of yourself as the sun, and you're in a solar system, and everything that happens from a marketing, brand development, sponsorship, activation perspective are the planets circling the sun. So and those are the things that you don't need to worry about. What you need to worry about is being the sun. You need to shine. You need to race hard. You need to have results, and you need to do the things necessary to have success. Let your team and the other individuals focus on these things.
Yep.
And if you do that, you will have much greater success. And so sometimes it's difficult for racers, most of them very A-type personality, to let go of that, to think of not knowing the answers or not having all the answers. And sometimes that's a challenge. But it is important. One of the things that's very important from a marketing perspective is for individuals to allow themselves to be critiqued and allow themselves to admit that they don't have all the answers.
I think this is actually really important, not just from a racing perspective, but from a corporate perspective as well.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we don't like to be critiqued. But at the end of the day, my job is to help you be successful. And so you have to develop trust and a relationship where that can happen. And you do that by, again, helping them understand what they may not be seeing, but doing it in a way that they understand that there are dots being connected, that there's opportunity being created, that there is going to be a different perspective as a result of what we're talking about doing. I like to say that, people, the biggest question I get asked when people call me or email me or whatever is, hey, do you do sponsorship? Do you find sponsorship? And my answer is always no and yes. And I'll explain. I'm not going to be the guy picking up the phone and making the calls or emailing or doing all of that. What I do is I help you understand the tools necessary to provide those individuals that you're talking to. So you need to do the work on the front end. People think that sponsorship is the first part of that equation. Find sponsorship, go racing. It's not. It's develop the story, create the materials, and all of the necessary tools to be able to put in front of a potential partner. And that goes back to what I said earlier about understanding who you are as an individual and what makes you unique. There's a lot of work and time and effort that needs to go in on the front end of that. And so when people say, do you do sponsorship? My answer is no and yes, because what I do is going to help you succeed in finding sponsorship. And you're going to take a much narrower approach to who you're targeting.
Yep.
It's not spitballs on the wall. Because you've done the work and you understand who you are and what makes you unique and what your story is, you're going to be able to have a lot more pinpoint precision to who you should be talking to and why, and understanding that. Because if you don't understand who you should be talking to and why, you will not succeed.
That's 100% true. And I was just thinking, Sarah Price came on the show the other day, right? So we have an off-road racer that did side-by-side racing, and she did dirt bike racing and things like that. Her name is Sarah Price, and she has been true to herself the whole time throughout her career racing. She's done all off-road stuff, and she's paved her way and built her story. It's taken thousands of dollars, tons and tons of man hours. She created her own business to be able to support this thing. And this story has been developing for, I don't know how old she is now, but let's just call it 15 years. It's a long time. It's not just find sponsors. And then this year,
right,
Chip Ganassi is starting a new Extreme E racing team. And she was the first female driver that got a call from Chip Ganassi to be able to understand that he can, because he saw the story, or they saw the story.
Yep.
And
Right.
to be able to understand that she is a good fit for it, not because she's a good driver. She's a fantastic driver. But her work ethic and her story is why they call her.
And the whole package.
The whole package.
100%. Yep. I call that cultivating
Yeah, and-
opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think racers have that, instant gratification mentality, and sometimes you really got to think long game. And Sarah would be an example of that. That effort put in has reaped rewards. It may take a little longer, but everybody wants the instantaneous results. I need a sponsor now. I need a partner now. I need a brand now. But ultimately, part of that is a developmental process. And again, it goes back to that understanding of who you are. And once you understand that, you take the steps. I always go to the end first and then work my way back. So ultimately, what are we trying to achieve? And then what are the steps necessary to achieve that goal? And it may be that you're thinking 2 years, 3 years, 5 years out. And so you really have to put that work in to understand that. And also to understand where maybe you need help. Maybe you don't have all the answers. Allow yourself the opportunity to accept input or guidance from somebody else. I find the greatest thing that I've experienced in this sport and in this career is the people I get to meet. I mean, I've had the opportunity to work in a lot of different series. I've had experience on the ARCA side. I've worked in the World of Outlaws. I've worked in NASCAR. I've worked in the Legend Series. My newest client is one of only 2 females licensed in the United States to run a Nitro Top Fuel Harley in the NHRA series.
Dang.
And she'll be making her debut later this year. And she has a very unique story. And so it's individuals like that always kind of get me really energized, because those stories are so unique and so interesting to me, and the opportunity to then find a way to share that with people and find authentic connection points with potential partners. That really gets me juiced. So
that's exactly what you're talking about, like seeing it from the outside perspective, like how amped he is. Because, like, let's just say that woman that he's talking about, the NHRA, drag bike woman, she probably doesn't see anywhere near what he sees on the outside.
Right, and being the master chef, he's like, hey, this is just a different kitchen.
Just the recipes? Yeah, man, that's cool. Yep. I'm excited to see what happens with her. I think you could probably put it full circle, though, too, and do it for corporations and companies and stuff as well. Obviously, you can do brand development and different things like that, but these things, I think, are even more valuable, especially in the crazy times that we're living in now. Like, the storytelling is so important, because people have maybe slowed down a little bit. Say maybe some people have sped up, but a lot of people have slowed down a little bit and can listen to these stories.
Yeah, how do you separate yourself?
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, like you said.
That is so cool, man. I'm like getting all excited. So what have you been doing? Like, let's just say with 2020, like how are you separating yourself and going through with some of your clients and separating them as well? Okay, so
yeah, it goes back to what I said.
There you go.
Oh, hello.
My bad.
We're back. Yeah. As I said earlier, I think the landscape is changing, and if you're not thinking about that actively, you're behind. And so my job really with my clients is to think about that and to give them an understanding of, have we thought about, a lot of it is the relationships that I have and talking with people and understanding what's going on. After 20 plus years, I have a really great network of people that I can call on and say, hey, what are you seeing? What are you hearing? What's happening in this series? What's going on with the schedules, whatever. And I will say that, there's a lot of advantages to working for yourself. One of the disadvantages is the opportunity to bounce ideas off people in an immediacy type thing. If you work in an office, you just walk down the hall and you knock on the door and you say, hey, Fred, here's an idea, and what do you think? And you can get some synergy. A lot of times that is something now that I have to do through the relationships I have, and I'll call people up, and I've called you before, George, and said, hey, what do you think about, or what about this? And when you surround yourself with really good people who are really good at what they do and they're passionate about what they do, and who aren't afraid to share those ideas with you, people can sometimes be kind of protective. I like to, I've said many times that it doesn't do me any good to have all this knowledge if I can't share it with people. And I say it all the time on my social, if you have a question, call me. It doesn't cost anything to call me up and ask me a question. I may not give you the answer because it may be something that I do for a living, but I'm not afraid to have that conversation with you, to learn who you are, to understand more about you, because the more I know about what's going on in the industry, whether you're a racer, whether you're a sponsor, whether you're a brand, it doesn't matter. The more I understand, the better I am, and the more I am able to help my clients both now and in the future. So if you're not open to those opportunities to talk to people because you're scared of maybe giving something away or not, not giving away the ingredients, you're missing opportunity. Certainly I want to protect some of the things that I do for my clients, but man, I just want to suck it all in. I want to know what's going on. If I don't know what's going on, I can't help my clients. So,
I can vouch for that.
For me right now,
I can vouch for that wholeheartedly, because when Don and I first started talking, I was intrigued because of the first couple conversations that we had. I did exactly what he said. I gave him a call. I said, would you like to connect? We started talking. The first couple conversations went really well. And then the next step wasn't me saying, what are you going to do for me? It was him saying, when can I come out to hang out and learn this new genre of racing to be able to understand the story that we're going to tell? So he was already ready because he wanted to do the things that we just talked about. It was pretty awesome to see that drive and understanding coming from somebody else that wanted to help. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I think that says a lot for him, at least in my opinion, because it was helping me, of course. But when you have somebody like that, it's like having a new employee, right, that comes and asks a bunch of questions. You're like, that dude's a pain in the ass, but then all of a sudden he's your best ally.
Right.
Right? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, how many times did he bother you during the day while you're sitting at your desk trying to get your work done?
Sure.
But then all of a sudden, 6 months down the road, you can't get enough of him. You're going to him and working as a team, asking questions together. It's awesome.
Is he bringing more fuel to the fire, or is he bringing water to put it out?
Dude, probably both.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's probably helping with both, you know? So it was definitely a huge change in my program.
Well, and it's a double-edged sword, too, because, if you're in this business long enough, there's only two types of people in motorsports. Those who have been laid off and those who will be laid off. It's the nature of the business.
Sure.
Okay? It's cyclical, it's up and down. The relationships that you build with people is the lifeline when you need it.
Yep.
And so I don't see any reason to be an a-hole to anybody. And there are a lot of people in this business who get to a certain level and think, I know all the answers. I don't need this person, so I'm not going to spend time talking to them because they can't do anything for me until they need you.
That is
and
such
so
a
if you take
closed-minded
that
way to look at
approach,
it,
if you take that approach from the beginning and just say, man, I just want to learn. I want to know people. I want to understand what's going on. If I don't know the answers, man, I'll try to help you find out who can. I never turn somebody away, ever, even if I can't help them, because it's that connection that you may need in the future. And it's that opportunity, specifically in motorsports, because it is so cyclical and because people lose their jobs all the time. And the sponsors come and go, and the series changes and all the things that happen. And those relationships are really critical to me and important to me, both from a professional, but more from a personal perspective, because those are the individuals that I want to be able to lean on when I need help or I need information. And so it's important to really find that opportunity to connect with those individuals on a unique level.
That was some of the stuff that I learned from it that we had talked about a few times as well. We got a comment that came in that Billy Slade said, this is great insight. It's very valuable and a very valuable point of view, and he's taking notes. So we really appreciate you sharing all this stuff, Don. So obviously, we don't want to give away all your secrets, and it's getting late where you are too. But if people want to connect with you, what's the best way? Is through email, or is it through phone? Or I know they can go to donsmyle.com, and it's SMYLE, DONSMYLE.com.
Yeah, donsmyle.com, it'll just give you kind of some background, my methodology, the way I approach working with clients, the people I've worked with. There's some case studies on there. There's some background and history. But if you want to connect with me, it's dsmyle at smilemedia.com, DSMYLE at smilemedia.com. I'm on LinkedIn, very active on LinkedIn.
Oh yeah, that's
hit me
right.
up, connect with me on LinkedIn.
Yeah, that was a good way. That was a good route for me. I think that's how I connected with you. And I didn't mean this to be like, if it sounded like a sales pitch, it's not. It's just that he would love to people to reach out because he's got such an awesome wealth of knowledge. And to be honest, some of the phone conversations that I've had with him just over let's just say eating lunch or whatever it is, have been very, very valuable to me. And I think that he can help a lot of people, especially in a time like this when people can't see the sky, the forest through the trees, whatever so I think it would be cool if they did reach out.
Yeah, like I said, I'm willing to talk to anybody. I've had conversations with a lot of people, and I'm very upfront with people. I say, I want to hear what you have to say. I want to know what it is you're trying to achieve. And I'll tell you straight up if I think I can help you or not. I don't want to BS anybody. I'm not here to make a paycheck. I'm here to make a difference. And the only way that you can do that is to be honest with yourself and be honest with those individuals and say, if I think I can help you, are you willing to put in the work? Are you willing to do the things necessary? And if we can find that synergy between ourselves, we're going to make a dynamic partnership.
Yeah, 100%. We had Randy Sharp said, how do I get his number? Well, I don't know if he wants to give his number out on the broadcast, Randy, but you can always DM us or instant message us, or you can go to donsmyle.com and you can reach the
go hit me up on LinkedIn. Give me a connection request, or I gave you my email address. Hit me up on email, dsmyle at smilemedia.com. And love to connect, but yeah, I'm not going to give my digits out.
Yeah, we don't want a whole bunch of people calling him just for no reasons, looking to have a lunch conversation like I like doing with him, Randy. But I definitely think Randy is going to be one of the first of a few people that reach out to you. The conversation has been going really good, and I would love to keep talking about it, but it's getting a little late, and I know you have important stuff to do tomorrow. So let's start winding it down a little bit by asking, what do you have going on for the next? The question is usually what's next for you in the future, right? But since all this stuff's going on in the world, I kind of want to know with a little bit of focus, what's the next milestone that you're trying to achieve before you can start hitting some of these longer goals?
I think ultimately what I want to do is I want to get back to the racetrack, man. I want to get back to doing what it is that I love doing, and that's being in the mix, man. It's been challenging. I've been fortunate to still have clients during this time. I actually picked up a client during this time. And so for me, the short goals, when I work with clients, it's generally on a 3 to 6 month period, because the things that we map out I won't work with anybody generally for less than 3 months on a potential marketing program. Now people ask me all the time, is it just program management? And the answer is no. Ultimately, we do a lot of different things. It's whether you need logos created, whether you need social content strategy and a social content calendar, whether you need to have a website developed, whether you want to have marketing materials created, video production, professional photo shoots. All of those things are things that we do. We generally do those as part of a program, but we also do them as a la carte type items for specific individuals. But if we're going to start working on a program, we need 3 to 6 months to even scratch the surface on something like that. It takes time to develop. And so for me, what I'm looking at now is the immediate future with my newest client and how we can get her back on the racetrack. The NHRA has released their schedule, and they're still having some challenges with local municipalities as it relates to venues in their city and the ability to have fans or not have fans. And the NHRA has taken the stance that they want to race with fans. They want fans there. And so if the municipality says can't have fans, it makes it problematic for them.
I think understanding that means that it right now is a perfect time. Well, Randy Sharp, I think it's a perfect time to be able to reach out to Don or to be able to plan a strategy, because I don't want to say you have a little bit of time, but you really do, because if there's no racing going on right now, you can start playing that 3 to 6 month strategy and start kicking ass before it even happens.
Right.
So that when all this stuff comes to fruition, you're hitting the ground running.
Yep, head of the curve.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 2020 is an aberration. We're all hoping that it's going to be gone pretty quick. But if you think about it from the perspective of opportunity, again, what we were saying earlier about don't see the negative, see the positive in the negative. And so what are the things that we could be doing now to generate that opportunity 6 months down the road when we go back racing and when things somewhat return to normal? You're ready to hit the ground running because you put the work in, you've done it. You're not sitting back saying, well, we're just going to wait until we go racing and then we'll go racing. If you're not thinking about now what you're going to be doing when you go racing, then as I said, you're already behind.
Yeah, 100%. Well, knowing all that, I want to definitely thank you for all of the effort that you had put into my racing program. You had, flown all the way across the country. You'd come out to California, to the UTV World Championship, into a whole different world than what you were used to. And you clearly made a huge impact in my program, which was very, very cool. And not just that, but made an impact in my life. I mean, you were one of the first people to check in on me when, we had some unfortunate accidents last year and stuff. So it's neat to be able to understand that not all of this stuff has to be a business relationship. When you have somebody that you can lean on, you can talk to them, it grows into a friendship. And the nice thing about friendships is that people are giving to each other, right? Mm-hmm. And Don has a lot to give.
Yep. More than just smiles.
No, I appreciate Yeah, no, I appreciate that, George. It's like I said, meeting you has been, a highlight of my life for sure. And I hope we're friends for many, many, many years to come.
The only way we're not going to be friends. I
appreciate that sentiment.
The only way we're not going to be friends is if you don't like tacos. So,
dude, I'm all over the taco. So we're good. We're good there.
All right. Well,
I think your tacos are probably a little bit better out west than here, but we'll take what we can get.
Yeah, exactly. But there was some stuff like buffalo wings you were telling me are a little bit better over there. Hamburgers have a little bit different taste. Like, I still want to get out to North Carolina and come hang out one of these days. Robbie Gordon sounds like he's building the next level UTV is what everybody calls it out there in North Carolina. So it'll be cool to see what he ends up coming out with and put into the market, see if he can give any of these major players in the game a run for their money. It'll be hard, but we'll see what happens. So we kind of brushed on it a little bit, but how can the audience connect with you? They can go to LinkedIn and search for Don Smyle, DonSmyle. And what was the email address again, Don?
DSmyle, DSMYLE @smilemedia.com.
All right, sweet. So now that everybody knows how to get a hold of you, we got some rapid-fire Q&A questions. You ready?
Oh, all right.
All right, Case, you want to go first?
Fire when ready.
Fire when ready. Fire in the hole. iRacing or real racing?
Real.
Duh.
Have you tried the iRacing thing yet?
I'm not a gamer, man. I've tried. I just can't get into it, and I'm not I'm not unapologetic about it. There's people that love it, and I did watch some of it, but I just can't do it. So God bless those who can.
I'm with
Get
you.
me to the racetrack. I want to smell it, man. I want to smell it.
I'm with you,
I
man.
want the tires. Yeah, I tried it too. I tried the iRacing stuff, and I was horrible at it too.
BP and 927.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so Don may not know too much about the Supercross thing, so let's put this in NASCAR terms. Robbie Gordon or Kyle Busch?
That's a good one.
I mean, Jeff Gordon or Kyle Busch, excuse me.
Jeff Gordon or Kyle Busch? Wow, that's a tough question. And I'll tell you why, because
I'll even switch it up even more for you, Archive man. Kyle Petty or Richard Petty?
Ouch.
You're gonna get me in trouble because I know both of them.
See,
the
all
Petty
of the
dynasty. You know what? I'll say this about Kyle Busch. I think he is as close to Dale Earnhardt as we have in the sport right now from a driver ability standpoint. The guy has so much talent. You may not like him as an individual, and a lot of people don't like his personality, but if you don't like watching him race, that guy wants to lead every lap. He wants to win every race, and he's pissed off if he doesn't. That's the guy I want driving for me.
Yeah, 100%. Like a Ricky Carmichael kind of guy. All right, what's the next one, Case?
Favorite food?
I'm going to have to go with good steak, man. There's nothing like a grilled steak. Man, oh, man.
Little Smokies or pizza rolls?
Little Smokies, man.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
I knew he was going to take Little Smokies.
Finally. Favorite soda? I think I know.
I'm going to go with Sprite, man. I like the clear liquid. I can't do the Pepsi or the Coke thing, man. I've always been a Sprite guy.
All right, I'm going to add another question in here then, Casey, to go along with this. So, because Don's always about the what I just forgot, like out of brain, the high craft beers and stuff like that. So, Corona
Coffee.
or Pacifico?
Pacifico, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Corona, man, I don't know. It tastes like water to me. No disrespect, but it just, I like a little meat to my beer.
So you want want to hear something funny? Is I heard that when C19 came out, like I guess the COVID just took, like the Corona stock just took a shit, right? But I guess now it's like skyrocketing.
Really?
Yeah, like it's going back up, and they're releasing these new seltzers to compete with White Claw and all kinds of stuff.
Okay, Uggs or Crocs?
See, now I'd love to be in the brand and the marketing and the marketing department for Corona, a company like that, to figure out how you deal with the situation like that, right? Because
how do you turn it around?
That dropped out of the sky.
Yep.
Right? I mean, what do you do about that? How do you react to that? That to me is an interesting. I would love to have been listening to those conversations, but just sidebar.
That would be super cool.
Yeah, what are the chances?
All right, what's the next one?
Okay, ready for the next one. Uggs or Crocs?
Dude, if you wear Crocs, man. No, I'll take Uggs any day of the week. Crocs, man, those things should be banned. Banned.
All right. Have you heard the joke that they have with the Crocs? If you need to put them in 4-wheel drive, you just put that little strap up in the back. Oh, that's hilarious.
No, man, those things. You might as well be barefoot. Those things are so damn ugly.
So this question is a little bit of a skewed question.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for him.
Well, first, let me preface it by saying that he got to do a ride-along with me at Glen Helen, and he did some video of in-car, and it was, he had a helmet, and we did some stuff. That was pretty cool. And
that was badass.
We had a fun time. We had a fun time, and I remember him screaming just a little bit. But it was super cool. The question here, it says most memorable race, but I think we'll change it into something like, do you have like a really, really vivid memory of something similar to what I just explained, but maybe on the NASCAR side or in the dirt oval side or anything like that?
Best moment in the industry.
Yeah, maybe best moment in the industry. That's a good one.
I'll give you a funny one. So I guess it was 2016. I was working for a NASCAR team. We weren't very good. The charters had not come out yet. So we were not guaranteed a spot in the race. So when we went to Daytona, we had to make the field on time in order to make the race. So we're in the qualifying races on Thursday night, and we're in the pits, and the pits right next to us is Dale Jr. And so we're out there and literally coming to the checkered flag, coming down the backstretch. We were not in the race. We were not in the position to be in the race. So literally long faces. We're all like thinking we're going to pack up and go home. Suddenly our driver gets this run, man, and he starts going up through the middle, and he's coming, and we're coming to the checkered flag, and our spotter is yelling on the radio, get in there, get in there, get in there. Yeah, 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 yeah. And so the team starts to get pumped up, and we see the leaderboard, and we see the positions going up, and we suddenly realize that we've made the race. He takes the checkered flag, and the spotter's like, yes, we're in the race, we're in the race. And we're jumping around going crazy. You thought we just won the Daytona 500. Dale Jr. won the race. His crew's over there just wrapping their cords up and acting like it's nothing. And we're jumping up and down like we just won the freaking Daytona 500. It was so hilarious. But those are the moments you live for, because that enthusiasm, that excitement that you share with a team, when you put everything into it, and the only goal is to make the race, and you don't think you're going to do it, and then you do it. That elation and enthusiasm was so honest and so just amazing to be a part of. But then looking over at Dale Jr.'s guys who won the race, and they're just wrapping their cords up and taking their stuff and going back to the garage.
Standard operating.
And they're looking at us. Yeah, they're looking at us like, what the hell's what's going on with these guys? You know, they're all giving us the funny looks.
Yeah. Casey said, I just remember, they were just like, I remember my first time. But you know what? That's a funny point that you bring up, though, is those stories are really, really memorable. And we just talked to a few off-road racers that did the Silver State 300 earlier in the show. And it's very similar to that, right? Like Kristen, she obviously had a car that was on rails. She had a couple bad. But what's the thing that they remembered most? Take Justin the Shock and busting your finger open.
Totally, getting it split open.
Yeah, it's crazy. Is it your turn? Yeah,
it's my turn. Yes, favorite flavor of ice cream.
Oh, mint chocolate chip.
Nice.
No doubt.
Ski or snowboard?
Snowboarding.
Dogs or cats?
But I'm getting too old. I'm getting too old for either one of them.
I hear you.
Go ahead.
Dogs or cats?
We've had cats, my entire life. I want a dog at some point, but it's been all cats up until this point.
Netflix or YouTube?
English bulldog.
Ooh, that English bulldogs are cool.
Those are awesome.
Netflix or YouTube?
Yeah, I call them Obi-Dobi dogs. They just kind of walk around like this,
Yeah, totally.
They just look badass. All right, what was that question?
Netflix or YouTube?
Oh, Netflix, yeah.
What about with the social media? Have you seen a lot of value with YouTube? I've seen at least the stock jump a little bit with the YouTube stuff. Long form content on YouTube has been pretty valuable in the last 6-8 months.
Yeah, the key to YouTube, from my perspective, is you've got to put the work in. You've got to be able to create the content, right? It's a beast, man. You got to feed it, and if you don't feed it, you're not going to see the results. You're not going to generate the attention. You're not going to generate the dollars associated with it. So, for most of my clients, we're not in that position to generate that kind of content and focus specifically on that platform. And so we focus more on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is where the decision makers live. And if you're not on LinkedIn, man, you're missing opportunity.
Genius.
So,
yep, exactly.
Super smart. Burrito or taco?
I'm taco, man. I tell you what, hard shell tacos, man. No soft shells for me, man. Hard shells. I want to hear that crunch. Oh, man, they're so good.
This guy, too.
Yeah, you too. I may or may not have had 5 tacos today. All right. Well, now we have a question that says supercross or motocross, but I'm going to switch it up and say
asphalt or dirt.
No, because he likes both of them. So how about short course racing, like the stuff that we did, or like the UTV World Championship, like desert racing?
Oh, short course, man. It to me, this is where NASCAR's missing the boat. Is that NASCAR was built on short tracks. That's where the excitement is. When you started getting 1.5 mile D-shaped ovals and it's follow the leader, no. The UTV World Championships are great from the perspective of the endurance and the machine and all the elements that go together. But short course, man, it's that hard, quick hit. excitement, that's to me, that's the excitement of motorsports.
Yeah, the knockdown, drag out MMA, like fight in a car kind of stuff.
I actually can't wait for this next one.
Okay, go for it.
I really can't. What other form of racing would you like to try? Because he's involved in so many of them.
And you can pick anything, dude. Powerboat racing, monster trucks, F1, whatever you want.
Armadillo.
I've always wanted to do open wheel, left, right. I had a little experience many years back where I got an opportunity to do that. And man, I'll tell you, there's nothing like the synergy between you and the machine when you're having to turn and go through corners. And this, when you're in a NASCAR, not taking anything away from that, because I've done that as well. But it's basically go down the straightaway and turn left from the car perspective. When you're on a road course and the terrain and you're going over hills and you're having to address your speed and the lines and turning left and right, that's something that's really unique and interesting. And I really, really enjoy that. If I could take myself out of this profession and insert myself into something where I could go course racing an open wheel car, man, I'd be all over that.
That would be pretty cool, man.
Awesome.
We got one more question for you, but before we sign off, is there any other stuff, any other topics that you want to talk about?
No, man, I think we've done a good job. I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk to you guys. Obviously George, you and I go back, and the opportunity to talk to you anytime is a treat, but certainly when I get to talk to other people that are passionate about motorsports and enthusiastic about the world of motorsports, not just one genre, but the world of motorsports, that's a treat. So I appreciate it very much.
Oh, right on.
LinkedIn request coming.
I guarantee there's LinkedIn requests coming. So
this guy for sure.
Actually, you know what? I got two questions for you. I'm going to finish it off with a serious question, but this is a question that I think everybody needs to answer. Chips and guacamole or French fries and ketchup?
Chips and guacamole, man.
Nice. Yeah, winner. Yeah, virtual high five. We get a C19 high five. So one last question that I want to get answered, and this is mostly just because it's the end of the show, and I don't know how many people are listening, but I would like a little advice understanding what this podcast is doing. So in the last couple months, the podcast has gotten to, in my opinion, the next level. And it's still got a ton of ways to go. There's no way that a little off-road podcast is ever going to be as big as some of these high-dollar, big-time podcasts. But I want to be able to qualify it in our own little world. And our reach for our podcast has gotten to be between 45,000 and 60,000 people every 28 days. And I think that's pretty good because of the reach and the numbers and the understanding of how small a side-by-side off-road little tiny genre market it is. But let me get your opinion on
it. So what's the question? I'm sorry.
I think the question is more like, I guess the better question is, how much more do you think I should put into the growth portion of it? Should I keep it going at the pace that it's going? Should I put more effort into getting it to be double those numbers in 6 months? Like, if you were part of this business, what would be the next decision that you make?
If I was in your shoes, I wouldn't be looking at the numbers. I would be looking at the opportunity. You and I have talked about this before. The organic nature of connection is what generates numbers. It's not looking at a number and saying, I want to get here. It's looking at the opportunity to how do you connect with people. That drives the numbers. So I think you need to reverse engineer that thought process and think about, okay, how can we reach, not necessarily how can we reach more people, but what can we do to create content that will resonate not with that subset that you're talking about, right? But with a larger audience. And you and I have talked about this, the subcategories of content that are available to you because of your unique story. And I think that that's where the opportunity lies, because that broadens your horizon beyond the racetrack. And so I would be more inclined to focus on the storytelling aspect of what it is that is true to you as an individual, whether it's your love of food and tacos and the things that make you
Crocs.
unique, and focus on ways that you can. Crocs. No, not Crocs.
Take it out.
But those other ways that you are unique as an individual and what resonates with you, because the thing that draws people in is the passion you have for something. If you're not passionate about what you do, man, people don't care. But if you are passionate, they want to follow you and they want to know more, and they'll run through a wall with you, man, to learn more about that. So, I know you have so many unique and passionate things that you enjoy. I would focus on kind of carving those out and learning more about those opportunities, because I think that's where the opportunity lies.
That's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to hear, is because we've had people that are interested in being partners with the show and stuff, and the first questions that they ask are, what are your numbers, bro? And I'm like, dude, let's just end the conversation now. Like, I really appreciate that you gave us a call and that you're interested in the show, but that's not what I care about. The thing that I care about is that connection, and that's the way we've grown the show, and that's why I think it's been so valuable. Casey's been a huge help to me to understand that we're trying to make connections with people. It's not me that's important. It's the other person that's important, and things like that. And I really appreciate you kind of securing that mindset for me, because it makes me feel like we are doing a good job, and I think that the success will come if we just keep being ourselves.
And don't forget why you started.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, stay true to yourself, man, and the opportunity will come. It's not about numbers. I'll tell you very quickly, one of the things that annoys me about motorsports in general today is we've lost the connection with the fan. When I began motorsports, man, it was, you had a marketing platform, and then you had an activation strategy against that. And you were putting product in the hands of consumers and fans, and they were tasting and touching and eating and wearing your products.
Yep.
And they were going to the store and seeing your name on the products on the shelf. And you were building loyalty with those consumers that was passed on to, whether it was family members or their sons and daughters or whatever. That has totally gone out the window. And a product of that has been social media. And what has happened is the teams have used that as a crutch with potential partners and say, hey, we have 150,000, social media followers. Well, that's great. But how many of those people have actually touched, eaten, worn, or even know what your product is? You can't eat a tweet, okay? You can't wear an Instagram post, right? And so you really have to think about, is that meeting the need of your potential partner? Just because it exists doesn't mean it's the right thing. Yeah. And that's where I think that you have to be careful not to just stick something in a slot because it fits. That's where you have to think differently.
Yeah, don't try to jam it down somebody's throat. We just got actually somebody, Billy Slade, the same guy that said this is a great insight. He said he would love to see a content and activation from the Dirt Life at races, like maybe live shows at some races and stuff like that. I think those are good. There's some people that are already doing that stuff, so we're going to try to separate ourselves a little bit and do more personal stuff, I think, at the races that, can do stuff like that. But I think those are good ideas. I think that we just do it our way, a little bit different.
I'm trying to connect with Don right now, and I can't.
Oh, are you on LinkedIn?
Yeah.
Oh, Don's gonna have another LinkedIn partner here.
Sure is.
Well, we really appreciate it, man. Do you have any other questions for Don? Do you have any other questions for Don, Case?
No, but I definitely pulled some nuggets, some soundbite nuggets.
Dude, I wrote them down.
Okay,
I was
good.
taking notes.
Good.
So I think there's a bunch of people that can learn from this, Don, and I appreciate you coming on. I know it's really late where you're at, and I hope that we can share this. I'll send you some links and stuff. Whether a lot of people, I don't know what the numbers will be on the show tonight, but whether a lot of people listen to it or not tonight, I think that there's going to be a lot of value in this. We call it the archive shows, which is on iTunes and, obviously on YouTube and all that stuff later, because people can listen to a lot of this insight over and over, whether they're driving to the next race, maybe they get, handshakes at the next race or whatever it is, because there is so much happening in today's world that can be pushed aside and you can propel forward.
Well, and how awesome is that? Okay, we're all connected by whatever our dirt life, our motorsports, whatever it is, right? We all have that connection.
Yep.
And then all these people are drawn to listen for that connection, but then at the same time they pick up these things like he's just told all kinds of awesome things to help in their normal daily life, whether it be business, dealing with their family, so on and so forth. And these are the nuggets that are so important.
That's what I was saying before, dude. Is imagine the phone conversations that I've had with this dude. I've forgotten like a lot of it. I got hit in the head, but yeah,
it happens.
But this stuff is so freaking valuable, man. Like, well, I hope some of these people do reach out to you, Don, because I think it would be cool for you to even expand your own horizons and see some more of this off-road world that we live. I think it would be really, really cool. So maybe it's not just everybody learning from you. Maybe you're learning from some other people too.
Well, I hope so, man. I'll tell you the advantage of, having been in the NASCAR world for so many years. The last 5 years, I found myself working in the IMSA series, the World of Outlaws, the Legends side, now the NHRA. And with the thing that connects all of those is just motorsports. The platforms are different, the players are different, but the process is the same. But it's broadened my horizons to those other opportunities and what other sports are doing and learning and meeting new people. So and a lot of that started with you. So I appreciate you allowing me to be part of that journey, because I think it took me away from the NASCAR side, kind of exposed me to some different things, and now it's led me down to some other paths. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. I remember one of the first things you said to me was like, "Oh, this is like the first NASCAR starting up. It's like the grassroots again." So that was really cool for me to hear.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I wanted to mention was the cool part about that you can still go places. We can still fly on planes and we can still do that stuff. So it's neat that you'll be able to start traveling more and just having a good time with this stuff. I really think that there's a lot of opportunity in this next 6-8 months for people to start kicking butt in their programs. And some of these companies that are saying stale or closing their doors and stuff, like I had a conversation with my father the other day and I was like, I don't understand this. Like, why aren't these companies just stopping and saying, we are going to kick everyone's ass and start taking names because we have a huge opportunity here.
How do we change?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, if I was Delta Airlines, I would have said, all right, we're going to offer the best rates possible. We're not going to overcharge, and we're going to get every single person that's on planes to go with us for the next 6 months and drive all these other people out of business. Like, that's what we need to do.
Because you're not here for a paycheck. You're here to make a difference.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it, to make a difference. Yeah.
So, well, I really appreciate it, Don. I really do, man. You've done a lot for me, and I hope to see a lot of other people get some help from you.
Well, I appreciate it, guys. I wish you guys the best, and eat a really good taco for me, okay? Because we don't get those here.
It's Tuesday tomorrow, so I mean, what do you think?
Will do.
We can definitely do it, man. I really appreciate it. I think Randy Sharp's going to reach out to you. He said thank you very much, Don. So we all appreciate it, dude, and we hope you guys have a safe rest of your guys' week, and obviously get some rest.
Yeah, same to you, buddy. And let's talk soon.
Sounds great, dude. I appreciate it. Have a good one, Don, and thank you very much for all your insight.
Great to meet you, Don. Thanks for the time.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
You too. See you later. Man, that was pretty cool. It's neat to be able to see that. It doesn't look like we're going to be able to get our. There we go. It's neat to be able to see the different understanding and the different ways to be able to look at things, especially in this crazy world that we're living in right now. It's like, I don't know, man. I get so much inspiration and so much knowledge from that. Like, are you one of those people that just likes learning?
For sure.
Maybe not reading a book, but like getting knowledge.
Yeah, it's the drive to figure out why it works.
And so that was kind of what you did this last week when you were doing these, was it training for work?
Yep.
So how did you feel when you left at the end of the day and left at the end of the week?
You're like energized, and then like I said, I picture these guys as
to put it to work,
I picture these guys as the cook. Yeah, and we're living in a kitchen with all the ingredients. We just don't necessarily know how to mix them all together.
So if you're doing a race program or you're like a company or something, and you can get those insights just like what Don was giving to us now, or even different ones, maybe even better ones like what he's given to me over the years. Think how amped you are to put that to the test. Like,
totally.
When he would have some conversations with me, I would be so jazzed, fired up to go to the races or to start. Like, I'd wake up at 5 a.m. the next day and writing notes, and then I'd call 20 people and be like, hey, I got these ideas to do this content or this, tell this story or get a sponsor, whatever it was. So just having that, just a little motivation, like we were talking about Supercross riders, is a huge win.
Totally. I love his point. Again, there was so many parallels to what he says and the way Sean trains is that you take everybody's different, right?
Right.
So a business, a person, whatever, everybody's different. For them to acknowledge and help you realize that you do have some special things that you do, whatever they are, that's what you need to accentuate.
Harness, yeah.
Right. That's what makes you different. So do those things that are different and do them better than everybody else.
Because they can't, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, everybody's doing the same thing. They're not anymore.
Yeah.
Because you can still do the normal, but they can't do what you can do special.
That's so
amplify
everybody
that.
taking the same route.
Yeah, I love it. And again, I'm simplifying it and kind of making it sound or washing it down a little bit, but in my mind, it's like, that's so simple.
It really is.
But it takes this genius to say
knock some sense into you. Yeah,
totally.
I feel it so hard, man. And like him and I have talked about it before, and I'll be like, "No, dude, that's." He's like, "Dude, George, shut up. Like, get with it here." Yeah.
Major respects to those guys that can do that.
Well, I really appreciate Don coming on and sharing a little bit of insight. The nice thing about it is he was able to give quite a bit of insight on the show, which we really appreciated. But he was able to still, keep some of it for himself too. You don't want to give away all your secrets. So I really appreciate that. So if anybody wants to reach out to Don, feel free to do. I think he would be a good asset to anybody's team. So next week's show. Oh, actually, do we have anybody that we're going to give stickers to? Rory and I think some other people. Kristen Matlock.
For sure. John Lavoie mentioned something that made me laugh, and we were talking about the cut finger.
Yeah.
And then he goes, "Hey, I know somebody that cut their finger off, crying like a baby."
Who?
Yeah, this guy right here.
Oh, you did? Which one?
Crashed pinky. This one that's all wrecked.
Blew it out?
Oh, yeah. It was pinched off by the lever.
Oh, man.
I think there's a lot of moto guys that have done something like that.
I got a little retarded finger. These two fingers got caught in a radiator fan blade.
Oh, man.
I lost a bunch of it, man.
So he made me laugh, so he's getting some too.
Sweet. So we got to send out a bunch of stickers. So thank you guys very much for tuning in tonight. We really appreciate it. I know that the show was a little slower and maybe not quite as energetic as some of the other ones, but it's because there was so much knowledge and wealth in that in those conversations, and you really need to be paying attention and listening to understand all that stuff. But thank you so much for everybody joining in. Thank you to Kristen Matlock. Thank you to Justin Smith. Thank you to Dustin the Battle Axe Jones. Thank you very much to Brook Jensen for coming on. I know that she was a little bit apprehensive about coming on, but I think that she I don't know, maybe took a little bit of a leap of faith, but I think she did a very, very good job. And
Absolutely.
I think that everybody did a really good job at the races this weekend. One thing I forgot to mention, there was a helicopter crash this weekend at the races too. So there was a fire, a helicopter crash. Like 2020 is just weird, man.
It's wrecked.
But the good thing about it is nobody got hurt in the helicopter crash. So it was pretty cool.
How often does that happen?
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, not often.
One of the things that I thought was so crazy is that when they were talking about the helicopter crash, it was the race safely guys, the ones that helped me on course. They're at all these races, and they were saying that at every desert race, there's between 15 and 20 helicopters in the air the whole time.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
Yeah, think of those numbers.
So imagine like a Mexico race is probably more.
Holy moly.
But, so it's like, I don't know. It's like a flock of birds like flying all over the place, right? But so kudos to all those guys for keeping it safe. Like, I think that's really cool. So next week's show, we have our featured guest is going to be Cadence Cowan. Like I said, she's a youth racer. She's racing a Polaris RZR RS1. She grew up in a motorsports world with her father, and I think it's going to be really cool to talk to her and get her perspective on some of the stuff that she's been doing. I know that they have a pretty cool plan for her in the future. Who knows? Maybe they'll want to work with Don too. But and thank you very much to all of our sponsors. We really appreciate Shock Therapy. Thanks, Justin, for coming on. You can always go to shocktherapist.com and use the code DIRTLIFE to save a whole bunch of money. And then thank you to the guys at KMC Wheels. Really appreciate it. Ryan, thank you for sharing all of our content and being such a stand-up dude all the time. Thank you to the guys at Zollinger Racing Products. Congratulations to them for getting 4th in the UTV Unlimited class. Travis Zollinger did a great job. You can use the code DIRTLIFE at ZollingerRacingProducts.com to save a whole bunch of money there. Thank you guys at Rugged Radios. Use the code DIRTLIFE at RuggedRadios.com. And obviously, thank you very much to Lance and his team for chiming in tonight on the show. He's a big fan of Dustin Jones for sure. But solderweld.com, you can use the code DIRTLIFE and save on the off-road repair kits and things like that. And we are going to have some awesome giveaways pretty soon. So thank you very much to all of our sponsors. We love you guys very much. What do you got, Case?
I can make a little fan out of this. I can play a deck of cards with it.
Dude, look at these ones. Look like little coasters.
Sweet. We got coasters.
Like you can put a 12-ounce can on them.
We got everything. What do you need? We got it for you.
All right. So we're going to send out some stickers. So thank you guys very much for tuning in. We really appreciate everybody for hanging out with us tonight. If you have any questions for Don, definitely hit him up. He's been one of my resources for a very long time. I owe a lot of my success to that guy. So we'd like to thank you for living your dirt life with us. We really appreciate it. Have a good night.
Happy Monday.
You. Yeah, happy Monday. Taco Tuesday tomorrow.
That's right.
Have a good night. We love you.
Thanks for listening to The Dirt Life Show. Thanks for listening to The Dirt Life Show.